that been delayed, or if they is that
I
still
think
coming
it's
out?
this is the new one. Oh wait, hold on.
It's...
I'm recording. We'll talk about this
Oh, sorry.
when we get to it. This week on NintenDomain, we have Martin Watts here to help us celebrate the 20th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Hi, everybody.
Do you got anything to say for the intro, John?
I didn't think of it. Sorry.
We're live, man.
What does Link say? I'll be.
Yeah.
I want to talk about all the fun noises in that later when we get to it. But yeah, here we are. This is a NintenDomain podcast, episode 149. We are your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
I'm John, born to play knitter.
Born to play, and we have special guest Martin Watts here again from N64Today.com. What's up?
Hi guys, thanks for having me back.
Do you have a middle name that you wanted to use for today?
I don't know if I should go with something Zelda-y or not. I'll be Mighty Darunya. I don't know.
Mighty Darunya.
Like now
sure.
you got to do the dance.
That
exactly. Yeah. Oh god, I don't think I could even come close to matching the brilliance of that dance.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to be able to do it though.
Yeah, where he's like, oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I love that part.
It's just it's the way that Link steps back sort of awkwardly whilst it's happening as well.
Just do your thing, man. Do your thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to. I mean, we're here to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time, which I know was like a week or two ago, but we just with the holiday and all that, I wasn't able to get to it now. But that'll be the topic, and we'll do like a quick intro. But I at one point I did want to talk about like favorite moments of the game, and that is like one of my favorite moments. Also the part like after you beat that dungeon when like all the Gorons show up and they want to hug Link and he runs away screaming, like that part's hilarious too. I remember playing
dropping
that
down from the sky.
Yeah. They just kind of plop in and then he's like ah. Yeah, the part's hilarious. I forget. Yeah, you forget how much charm is in that game, but we'll talk about that at the end. But let's do what we normally do at the beginning and talk about what we bought, what we've been playing. I'll go first because I haven't really gotten much since last week. Because last week it was a Black Friday and I'd got all those games and all that stuff. But I think there was one that I got which was pretty cool. I don't know if it ever came out. I don't think it ever came out on the English eShop yet. But I picked up. What was it? I picked up Outrun for the Switch, my favorite Sega racing game. So
Nice.
I don't think it ever showed up on American eShop, but I got it on the Japanese eShop. If you for those of you at home, you know Outrun, right, John? The
same game.
It's a old Sega racing game where you basically have a certain amount of time to drive, and you can drive different ways, and it's like how far you can get, and there's like 6 different endings at the end where you can go to different places depending on which turn you make. But it's a nice game, and I had it for 3DS. I have the 3D version now. I have it on Switch too. So it was one of those Sega Ages games. So I think it was only like $8, but I bought it off the Japanese eShop, and I still have my nest egg there from before, even though I think I only have like $10 left in there, but. So that was my purchase of the week. I mean, most of it I've just been waiting for Smash, but John got some stuff, right?
I got some stuff. Yeah,
in your preparation for the Smash release.
That's why I'm John, born to play knitter. I got the GameCube controller.
You did, yeah. You, I guess you're
so fresh.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. This controller is just, man. The GameCube controller might be my favorite controller.
Mm-hmm.
It fits my hands perfectly.
It's big enough.
The shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to get the one from, what was it, Power A, the wireless one.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the proper shoulder buttons on that one.
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me. It doesn't have the rumble either. But really, it was the buttons on the shoulder. That's what like makes the GameCube controller.
The analog. Yeah.
Right. So I got this. This was $30, and I got the adapter as well.
Yeah, and that is the That's the Wii U adapter re-released, right?
Re-released, yeah. It still has the Wii U branding on the box.
Oh, nice.
It also says Switch now.
Oh, so they did print a new box for it.
They did print a new box for it, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't located mine yet. I know I have it somewhere, but I don't know where. So
and you can use the GameCube controller for other games on Switch too.
Yeah,
that was surprised about. It just shows up as a wired Pro controller.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you send you sent me a picture of you playing the Messenger on there, and you used it for Mario Kart as well, right? For Mario Kart 8.
I did, and I played Baby Park, and it was just like I was playing Double Dash.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I thought when you said you were playing Double Dash, I thought you had hooked up your GameCube or Wii or I don't know.
I was just joking. I just texted him a picture of I was playing Baby Park with my GameCube controller. It's like I'm playing Double Dash. Yep.
Because you have Double Dash, right?
I don't have that game actually.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you don't have Double Dash. It's too bad. But yeah, no, that's
a pretty fun game.
That's great that it works for other stuff. I was afraid that it was only going to work for Smash Brothers because that was how that's how it was on the Wii U on the original Smash Brothers, on the Smash Brothers 4. It only worked for that game, but that's cool that you can do it for other stuff. So
with any game. Yeah.
So
one thing I forgot about was how noisy the shoulder buttons can be.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, I was playing it late at night. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. I got neighbors. Like, they could definitely hear it. So maybe I'll do Pro Controller after midnight, but during the day, GameCube.
Is it that close? Like you're in a studio, right? So you're in a room mixed with other rooms in a house.
Yeah, I'm in a studio apartment, but
yeah,
the walls are thin. And like, listen to how noisy this is, okay?
I mean,
that's pretty loud.
I've heard worse from neighbors than just that. Yeah.
True.
I remember
a satisfying clack. It's got a good sound to it.
It is satisfying. Yes, I have pressed the button. Definitely.
Yeah. It's confirmation that you pressed it.
Yeah, it's really weird too. I always thought it's hard to hit the button quickly on the top there because of the analog and all that shit. Have you? Yeah. So you're doing the whole plunge, right, John, for Smash Brothers? Are you planning on? Are you like I know you? So you have the controller, you have the adapter. You're planning on getting. Well, obviously you're getting the game. Is there going to be a midnight release tonight? Have you talked to that GameStop by you?
No. Well, tonight I actually I'm gonna be working late tonight, so I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, okay.
Get it at 11 anyway. But I'm gonna go first thing in the morning.
Okay.
I did pre-order the game at GameStop, and I did the whole purchase. And then also at my job, we're going to do a tournament on Monday, so I'm pretty excited. We're actually closing down my
nice.
work early, and we're going to have a whole employee smash night.
Oh, that's nice. Are you going to have some sort of VR setup with it? Can you guys make it VR? Because you work in VR, right?
Oh yeah. But yeah, I can't really talk about that though on the show.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, so if you just cut that part out, but yeah.
Well, we're streaming, man, so everybody heard it already.
Oh, there you go.
But but I mean, do you guys have some sort of cool setup? Like you're gonna have it like at a theater, or just like a big TV, or where are you gonna be doing the smashing?
TVs.
TVs.
Yeah.
Cool.
We got TVs.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, I don't really. I'll be playing online tonight, like once it launches, but I won't. As far as aside from friend of the show Kevin's party on the 19th, I don't think I'm going into. I have any other Smash Brothers party coming up, but playing the game online should be enough for me. And I'm going to stream it on Thursday, and hopefully stream it Friday night too if Jeremy's into it. So it'll be fun. Or if you have it by then, John, you could call in too, and we could do a three stream thing. So you got that, you got the controller, you got the adapter. Are you gonna go for the Sega game too, the Sega collection?
No, I'm gonna hold off.
Okay. Oh yeah, and also
too much.
the Katamari Damacy is coming out as well. Are you going for that one? Are you waiting on that one too?
That one, yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that.
Okay.
I figured, in the end, it's just gonna be Smash this month anyway. I'm not gonna be playing any other game. So
Sure.
Why not put it to next month?
Yeah, I keep forgetting about Katamari Damacy because what was it? those guys who redid the Dragon's Trap game that I liked so much last year. They have their new game out now, which is Monster Boy. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom just came out, which looks awesome. It looks like a sequel to the Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap, and I really want to play it, but it's $40 and it's like Smash Week and all that, so it's like that. It's like that game and Katamari Damacy and the Sega Collection like all come out on the same week, and it's like But I think I have to wait on that one. I really want to get it next week, but like you were saying, I'll probably just be playing Smash for the most part. You know, that's the big pick of the week for the show. So Smash, of course, which I'll be streaming tonight at after 11 whenever it launches digitally. So anybody who's watching this on Twitch or wants to watch it later,
Nice.
they can.
Nice.
So yeah, I think looks like Jeremy's like trying to get on or something. He's been sitting there for a minute. Oh, you are there?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have your is your camera on?
I'm trying to get it to work.
Oh, okay. And Jeremy's here too for the show. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys? Sorry, I don't know why I thought it was noon. I had my alarm set for 11:30.
Normally it's noon. I wanted to start it early so nobody had to leave, you know. But now John has to leave in an hour, so that's why I was kind of like, oh, we got to get going. But yeah, have you gotten anything or want to mention anything for the week, Jeremy, for what we've been playing and buying and all that?
I've just been playing lots of Messenger.
Yeah.
Kind of hung up on the boss right now and had to sort of cool my jets and lay off for a couple of days, but
Which boss?
the demon boss.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I was hung up on him too.
The one
The demon boss, it's pissing me off because I like get him like where he's flashing, where he's almost gone, and he always kills me.
Yeah, I think that one took me like about almost a week of going back to it and like, giving up and then it was about a week or so of doing that, and then I finally beat him.
All right, is that the same one you were stuck on when you were here, Jeremy? The one
Yep.
guy that like yeah. He's the one that it's mostly when he turns into that floaty thing that you have to jump over. That's really hard.
I actually
to dodge.
figured out how to get past that part. It's just that part where he makes we have to stay above the floor.
Oh yeah.
I can like either do that flawlessly or I just can't do it at all.
How are you finding that game? Are you finding it super difficult or kind of like is it in that sweet spot for you?
I was gonna say, I was telling Trey that I definitely think he should go back to Celeste because it's on par with Celeste.
What do you mean? Like difficulty or
difficulty wise? I think that it takes just as much of a go get him attitude to like keep trying over and over because according to the demon guy, I've died a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The little dude that shows up, he will mention like how many times you've died every once in a while. The guy that brings you back to life and steals all your coins and all that. So
I'm going back for all the green challenge coins, and I think I'm at 526 deaths right now.
Yeah.
It's a pretty intense game.
Yeah.
I'm getting close to that already, and I'm not done yet.
Yeah, that demon guy. I remember just like I don't know, just kind of trying it over and over again until I got through him. I don't think it took me like a week, but it was kind of one of those things where I felt like I don't know. Eventually he was just dead, and I was like, oh okay. You just gotta kind of keep at it, but
there's a couple bosses in there that feel like an end boss.
Yeah.
And like when I was playing the game at first, I'm like, oh, is this the end of the game? I didn't realize how long the game was, and it is pretty long. But yeah, he does feel like an end boss to me.
Yeah, it's pretty meaty. It goes. I mean, I played it for 15 hours, which is longer than I thought it would be for just the style of the game it is, since it's modeled after old NES games. I thought it'd be a little bit shorter, but I'm not complaining about the length because I thought it was great length. But yeah, went a lot longer than I thought. But
I think my feelings reflect both of yours that have played it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's got great music. I love the graphics. The songs get stuck in my head. So.
Oh sure, yeah, they're super catchy. I haven't gotten around to getting the future version of the soundtrack, but I'd like to. so I mostly just listen to the NES version of it. But yeah, it's an excellent game. If anybody out there doesn't have the Messenger yet, check it out. It's not on sale anymore, but I think it got nominated for like 2 things maybe for the Game Awards, which I'll be streaming later for anybody who's watching.
Best Independent Game of the Year or something.
Yeah.
Or best best debut indie game.
Yeah. Which I don't know what that means. What
It's
best
like
debut?
first game.
Yeah, first game from a company or whatever.
Also, the Postal Service gives out an award every year for best message delivering game.
Oh,
It's in contention for that.
best game involving messaging. Well, he never delivered that message because it was his message.
Spoiler.
Oh yeah, spoiler. I thought you got that far where the message turns out to be a map that you were trying to deliver.
Oh yeah. I think I did get to that part.
Yeah. Cool. Are you? What are your plans for Smash Brothers, Jeremy? Are you going to get it tonight when it
Hopefully.
when it debuts?
I haven't downloaded it yet, so if I do, it's gonna take a second. I might try the download it from work thing, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how reliable that is. I've never tried it, but I did get it to work for 3DS for that Twilight Princess Picross game that was on there. I was able to download.
I did it once. I bought the game on my phone. And
Did it download at home?
yeah, I downloaded it at home. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
if I'm not able to get it tonight, it'll be in the next couple of days. But
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure I'll have it tonight.
Just
Sure.
remember to leave your Switch on before you go to work.
Yeah.
I was hoping
Sure.
that I was hoping you could have it for tomorrow, maybe for our like Friday night stream. We could do it if you're around. But yeah, I'll be playing it later. It seems to be getting reviewed pretty well all around, which isn't surprising. I mean, it looks
I
great.
didn't read any reviews. What did IGN give it?
9.4.
9.4.
Which,
All right.
which whatever. That doesn't. I guess people are getting mad about that it's not like higher than 9.4, but who cares?
Because they gave Fortnite a 9.6.
Yeah, it's like
So people are like, then it must be garbage if 9.6 is the standard for.
yeah, whatever.
They haven't even played the game yet. What are they talking about? How could they know?
Yeah. Some people have actually. I saw somebody streaming it on Twitch yesterday. Like it said like I might get banned for this, but I don't know how they. It was probably one of those things where they sent it to them early, you know.
Yeah, I did see a few people got it early on the group,
Yeah.
on the Facebook group.
Yeah, apparently like it leaked too, sort of, and you know people who steal games, which you should never do. We're playing it early, which you know, hopefully they're buying it too. If they're there you are. If they're
So how about you,
buying
Martin?
it early.
When does it come out? For you, it comes out tomorrow as well for you, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be midnight tonight. So not that long to go. In all fairness, what about 6.5 hours?
Yeah,
What's your plan? Are you going to go digital or physical?
Well, this is the thing. I still have not bought a Switch.
Yeah, Martin doesn't have the Switch.
incredibly.
Oh, right.
Which is madness. Like, I think my friends are ready to disown me because they're like, "Why are you buying Smash Bros? You love Smash Bros.
Yeah.
It's like your favorite game growing up." But I've just held off for the moment. It's just I haven't got the console. I would very much like to play it. It does look fantastic.
You can play the original one, Smash Brothers 64.
Yeah.
Do you have anything? Are you doing anything with that for your site for the original release?
Not yet. I should do at some point. I was hoping to sort of tie it in maybe, but then I also thought everyone probably going to be thinking about Smash Bros. Ultimate. You know, this sort of coming week. I think if I go, oh, here's Super Smash Bros. 64, they might be like, we don't care about that. That's only got 12 characters. We want 74 or 75, whatever it is.
It's the original though.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's. I probably will. I'm thinking I'd like to play the original again very soon. I mean, I play it now and again anyway, but I have like a proper full playthrough, record some footage and things like that, and get a review up.
Yeah. Speaking of reviews, I read your Body Harvest review. I thought it was pretty rad. Body Harvest is one of those like rare gem games that I've always loved, and it's nice to see somebody else give it the recognition that it deserves.
That's a Rockstar game, right?
Yeah, that was an old Rockstar game. I love Body Harvest. That was one of those like, it was like a later release 64 game too, right? Like, wasn't it kind of like towards the middle to end of the life cycle?
Sort of in the middle maybe, but it came out later than it should have done. It was meant to be like a launch title.
Oh, okay.
We got delayed.
Or maybe I didn't play it until later, but I played it later in the life cycle of 64. But it was a game that I always really, really wanted to get, and I ended up buying it. And even like I love the game, but even having it, like there were issues like what you mentioned in the review, like especially the whole like not being able to save until you beat the entire stage. Like that always was a major problem with the game because, and I don't think I was able to beat the whole game because of that. Because if you put like an hour or so into a stage and then you die and then you have to start all over again, that's never fun. Like not even back in the 90s when I was playing it, I was still had a hard time sticking with it after that. So, but I mean, it's still I was impressed by the graphics of it at the time, even though it does look pretty archaic now. I loved like that opening intro, like with the where he gets attacked and there's like the blood dripping and all that. I always thought that was so cool. Yeah.
It's a real cool opening, actually, and it gives you quite a different vibe to what the game's going to be because it's set aboard that tiny sort of space station, and it all looks really claustrophobic. And then, actually, when you get to the game, it's just massive. I say it's massive, but comparatively massive open world. Sort of running around between towns and villages and things. Yeah,
but it was almost like it's like a pre-GTA, like with bugs and all that. Before. I mean, I don't think GTA. I don't know when the original like PlayStation GTA 1 came out, or if that was pre or post that or whatever. But I had never even heard of such a thing, and I like the idea of jumping in vehicles and fighting giant bugs and all that. And how it was all out like old science fiction and all that, which my favorite type of stuff. So really dug that.
Yeah, no, it's lots of the and one of the things I want to write about actually at some point is all the like the pop culture references in the game, because it's like in a way it's kind of like playing like an old B movie kind of
for sure
thing, and there's tons of, especially like in the second stage, I think Java, and it's sort of set in 1941, but you go around and just everything, it's just like a tongue-in-cheek reference to something. There's sort of like classic films and other stuff, and it's just amazing what you can find in the detail. There's some of it is really obscure because Rockstar North, at the time they were DMA Design, because they were based in Scotland. They had quite a lot of. There's a couple of like very obscure sort of British like pop culture references, which nowadays like people probably won't remember. But there's one thing, I won't go into details of it and things like that because I think it'll be lost on most people. But they're covering things which you look at and you go, why is that in the game? That makes no sense. Like why would you feel the need to if you're going to put a pop culture reference in, put one in that people are going to know.
I would love to read something about that. I mean, once you put it up, of course. I mean, I will once I find it. But
what kind of pop culture reference would be in '98 like that you wouldn't get outside of the context?
Let's think.
Evolution. I don't know.
Let's think of. So I mean, like, I'm trying to think at the time. Well, a lot of things in there are like Star Wars related. So those are like the really, really obvious ones. But then there's one which, I mean, this one's actually fairly known. I think even IGN might have mentioned it in their like original review of the game back in like '98 or whatever. But there's I think one of the first village you come across in the game. So the first level is set in Greece, 1916, and you drive to this village, and it's got or town or whatever it is, and it's got a fire station with a couple of fire trucks outside it, and that's called Trumptonus Town. And the name of that town comes from there's an old, I believe it's a BBC stop. What is it called? Like a stop animation or stop motion animation. Kids series called Trumpton, which was part of a trilogy of these things. They were made like in the 60s. And I remember watching Trumpton as a child. Like my parents bought it on, like on VHS or whatever. And it's this really old school sort of classic. It's the sort of thing my parents actually would have watched as a kid. And it's all very charming and things, but because it has these fire trucks there, and you use them as part of the game where you then have to go use them to put out a blaze in another town. I don't know. It's just that's a nice little reference, which actually it doesn't. It's not too in your face or anything like that. But if you notice it, you're like, oh, that's actually really cool. I don't know if that's then lost on an international audience because I don't know how well known Trumpton is, but
that would have been totally lost on me. But that's kind of one of the cool things about making a reference like that, though. Is like sort of wink to your hometown people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It's cool that somebody that you are doing the research like that, so like where the actual, where that is in the game is coming from, and be like, oh yeah, because I would have never known what that was. Like I didn't. Yeah. So I always like looking at stuff like that. A lot of podcasts do that too, like where they're like friend of the show, sort of like Talking Simpsons. They'll go into like every reference that the show makes and go do the let you know like where that joke came from or whatever. And I didn't even know that there were so many. I mean, it would make sense that there would be so many references in Body Harvest, but it's definitely worth a read. Like looking through all that stuff.
So I best get to work on it in that case. I've got a lot of work to do. So,
well, it's a preview to the podcast,
exactly.
to the website for us listeners to something to look forward to, of course. As far as are there any other big games? What is your next review that you're planning on doing, or do you want to talk about it?
Next big review. I've already revealed this because I was sort of. I want to say I sort of got. It's going to sound worse than it is. I sort of got like emotional over it, where I just had one afternoon where it's like, I'm really fed up. I need to play. I'm going to play something. I don't know what I'm in the mood for, and I think I put Wave Race on, and it just, even though it's like a really super positive and upbeat game, and every time I play that, usually it always puts a smile on my face. I put it in, and I played sort of about 10 minutes, and then fell off the jet ski or whatever, and I thought, no, this isn't working. So I thought, no, I'm going to change games. So then I put F-Zero X in, which is one of my absolute favorite, games of all time. And it's been a while since I've played it. But I put it in. I was playing on my CRT TV, so I had the best possible sort of visual experience for it. And it was just the minute I saw that 60 frames per second, 30 cars just hurtling down the track, it was amazing, and I was just obsessed with it. It was a thing. I only had about like half an hour. I played it, and then from that moment on, for the next 2 days, all I could think about was F-Zero X and how I needed to be playing it.
That's awesome.
I was thinking, I've played this game loads of times before, but yeah, it's been fun going back to it. I really enjoyed it, and I think that's for me anyway, it still holds up really well. But I need to be mindful and think, people who aren't me, are there things they're going to take issue with and stuff in the game when when I write the review. Which I had to be very mindful when they did the Body Harvest review, because I love that game to bits.
Yeah,
it's, one of my top 5 games, but it is very flawed. So, but I've also been playing alongside F-Zero X. I don't know why I'm playing both versions. So I could just play one, but because they're the same. But I'm playing F-Zero X and the expansion kit, which came out for the 64DD.
Oh, okay, yeah. Nice.
In Japan. So I'm playing. It's quite handy. Someone's made an English language hack of that, which you can essentially run. You don't have to have the DD software and the DD hardware, which is really handy. So you get to experience they had some extra cups in there. I think there's 2 extra cups with tracks developed by Nintendo EAD, and then there's an edit cup where you can put 6 of your own custom tracks in, which you can then you build those using a track editor, and you can also build your own vehicles as well. The map editor and the track editor are a bit limited, to be honest. I say that you can do some cool stuff, but they're not as. I don't think you can create courses on par with the ones that feature in the game as sort of standard.
Yeah.
And again, the vehicle editor is sort of lots of predetermined parts and things like that. You can't really go outside of it, but it's cool, cool stuff. And the extra tracks that they've added, like one of the cups, I think it's called DD2 Cup, is just amazing. There's one track on it, I think it's called what is it? I think it's like White Land Free, and it's called Great Star is the description. And just the track's probably, there's sort of like 5 different parts of the track, and it's just so varied. Normally most F-Zero X tracks have like one main gimmick. It's like a pipe or it's a half pipe. This has got just everything in it, and it's absolutely amazing. Like all the cars, by the end of the race, you've lost like 20 of the other cars because they just can't handle the the sort of insanity of it.
So, yeah. So they like fall off and bust.
They just go straight off, and those bounce mine things. I don't know if you remember those. You go over them and you'd lose energy, but then like there's one like right on a corner, so it just sends someone flying straight over the edge.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just go play Wave Race instead.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
it's the cycle of N64 races, you know.
yeah, that's badass to be able to play the DD version of that. I always wondered what that would be like. I guess, and like the creating of the ships and all that, or and making your own car. That's kind of like a precursor to F-Zero GX. I guess you could do that in there.
Yes,
as well.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a DD, or are you using an emulator for that?
I'm using. Well, I'm technically using an EverDrive. This is terrible because we're just talking about not stealing games and things. But I'm using.
Yeah, but I mean,
someone's modded it.
I think.
God, I see.
Yeah, no, I think that's forgivable because like how many DDs are there out there?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking about.
They're very expensive.
Yeah.
I'd have to sell my house to buy one. So
Yeah.
When
probably don't want to do that.
when I was talking about stealing games, I was talking about games that are readily available, like Smash Brothers. But as far as like stuff for the DD, I mean, that thing's next to impossible to find anyway, or like an English one. So
that's generally my approach as well.
Yeah.
I think like some games you can't get hold of, and someone was having a sort of go at me about this the other day on our Facebook group where. It's just saying, you should be ashamed you're using an EverDrive, you're stealing games and things. And it's because funny enough, was showing a picture of Wave Race.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I own Wave Race. I have a PAL copy. I have the Japanese Rumble Pack edition.
Yeah.
I think I bought it again on Wii U. Like, I've bought this game multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm like, defrauding Nintendo or something by not. And even then, actually, I bought all of those games, all those versions of it. I think I bought, apart from the one on the Wii U, I bought them all second-hand anyway. And
so it doesn't even
money. So
exactly.
I think it's kind of on everybody individually, to take it on themselves. Like, do I own this game already? Cool, fine, whatever. I own another copy of the file, right? But myself, on emulation, if they haven't released the game in another form by now. I mean, every other major playable game, you can get any game from any major series on just about any whether it's Steam or Nintendo or PlayStation, whatever.
Yeah.
You can get the Castlevanias, the Mega Mans.
Yes, yep.
What are the odds you're ever going to get the DD version of F-Zero X?
Never. No, that's what I'm saying. You're never gonna get that one.
Especially since you have to get a fan translation anyway.
Right.
I mean, you already need that as it is. So, what's the extra step of putting it on the EverDrive so that you can actually play it?
Yeah. Yeah. So don't worry about that at all. I wasn't
be an angry mob coming after.
I wasn't sending that towards you on the EverDrive. I mean, I think that's perfectly fine.
Pitchfork emoji.
Especially for the DD and all that, I mean, because it's as great as it would be to have one of those, they're incredibly expensive and rare. So
I've only seen one time in my life, and that was like 6 months ago.
Oh wow, I've never seen one
at a trade show. Yeah,
that's cool. I've never actually physically stood next to one or anything like that, but
I
would like to.
I think it was like $1,200, and the games. Some of the games were like $300 or $400.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very expensive. Yeah.
Well, that's one of my things. Like when Jess and I go to Japan next year, on our honeymoon, I'd like to see if I can actually find one. Not like buy one, but I'd like to see it. Like if I can find it like Akihabara or something like that. It'd be cool to actually see one,
I stood in front of it for like 10 minutes, and the guy was getting a just getting a little bit annoyed. Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to actually sell this thing,
You're like,
but
yeah,
I guess that was happening all day.
But
People
it's the
just standing in
DD,
front
man.
of it. Oh, I just want to be near it.
Yeah. I don't think I could afford to buy one, but I would like to see one. It'd be really cool to see one in the wild, And apparently, it's probably a higher percentage of it in Japan looking for it. Not that I'm, think I'll be guaranteed to see one, but it'd be really cool if I did, I know they treat their used games very, very well down there. Well, do you guys want to let's talk news really quick? There's not a whole lot of news for the week, but I want to talk about this VGA talk about the Game Awards going on tonight.
Sure.
Apparently, there's Nintendo said on a couple occasions saying that everybody should watch tonight because there's going to be announcements. And one in particular, they did say make sure and watch if you're into Smash Brothers. So I don't know if anybody said this yet, but I'm thinking that maybe they're going to reveal one of the characters tonight, like one of their downloadable characters. Like maybe not all of them, maybe one of them, maybe a couple of them. I've read somewhere that Nintendo has already decided who they are. Like, so they're already like worked out and all that. They just haven't revealed it. So I bet you anything that they'll reveal one tonight at the thing.
The other rumor flying around was that maybe they were actually going to release the game early, like as soon as the awards are over.
Well, it is, but it is going to be released, but as soon as they're over, because it'll be.
What time does the awards start?
Well, the awards are at 7:30, so if they go for 2.5 hours, it will be released at the end of the show, because it comes out at 11.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, it's already kind of like that. I mean, it'd be kind of a dumb idea for them to be like at the beginning of the show, being like, "Oh yeah, Smash is out now."
Nobody watches.
It's like, "Hey, Smash Brothers is out," and then it's like, "Okay, cool. I'm not gonna watch the rest of the show. We're gonna go play Smash Brothers."
Everybody just leaves the building.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. There's been a big. I mean, the big rumor, which I don't know where this comes from, but people think that they're going. Well, I guess the thought process is like last VGAs they showed. What was it? They showed Bayonetta. They announced that they're going to do Bayonetta 1 and 2 on Switch, and they were doing Bayonetta 3 on Switch. So everybody's like, well, maybe this time it'll be Metroid Prime Trilogy and Metroid Prime 4 or whatever, which no one said anything about Metroid Prime Trilogy being on the Switch. Not that I don't want it to be on there. I just having it being like a surprise release like this just doesn't really. Yeah. I'm not buying it, and I don't believe that that's happening. Even though
the stemmed from it being listed on a Swedish retailer site.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I guess there's some basis for that possibly happening. And it just does make sense. Like, if they're going to release Metroid Prime 4 next year, right, is what they said?
Yeah.
Now would be the time to release the previous 3 games to warm up the people who haven't played any Metroid Prime games.
Well, they would also have to rework all of the controls in it, though, because Metroid Prime Trilogy was made for Wii, and everything is pointer controlled. So they would have to rework the whole game and make it back to dual sticks, which they never really were like that. And Metroid Prime 3 like never had a stick mode. It was all motion. So it would be interesting to see how they would do it if they do it. I'm just saying I don't buy it because there's a lot of work, and I also don't buy there being a physical version of it. I think if they were going to do it, they would just drop it digitally. But don't get me wrong, if they do it, I'll be totally into it and want to get it, but it seems like a weird time to do it, like especially with the big Smash Brothers release and all that. It doesn't seem feasible for them.
I don't think it would come out now. I think it would come out in like February or March.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime that would leave an ample amount of time for players to play through the game before getting Metroid Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would put my money on it coming out, just because there are a significant amount of people with a Switch who've never played any Prime games, and they want to lead people into Prime 4.
Sure. I mean, Nintendo is not really known to be that smart about it. I always wanted them to do that, but they don't. Like they've never really done that for previous ones. Like they didn't release all the previous Mario 3D games before Odyssey or anything like that. So I mean, I don't. If I was putting money on it, I would guess that they weren't doing it. But I want them to, of course. I'd love to play it on the Switch, but we'll see. But I wouldn't put. I would put money on it. But actual announcements. There is going to be a new Fortnite thing revealed on there. Some sort of new sandbox game involving Fortnite. That one was actually confirmed, so that'll be cool. Apparently, there's also going to be a remake of Crash Team Racing, is what I heard, which was the only Crash game worth playing. So I think that's pretty rad. There's some pitchforks there, but I mean that's my opinion and fact that Crash Team Racing is the only game worth actually giving a shit about.
I haven't played Crash Team Racing, but I'll back that claim up.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing is awesome. It's like it's like Diddy Kong Racing, but like with Crash. It's very much like that adventure-y racing thing where there's a map where you drive from one race to another. It was a lot of fun. I played it on. There was like some PlayStation Plus thing where you got all the Crash games for free, and I played it on PSP a bunch, like the Virtual Console version of it, and it is like a shit ton of fun to play. So I'm hoping that's going to see a Switch release. I mean, the Crash trilogy is on Switch, so why would it not be on? Why wouldn't the Crash Team game be on there as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But yeah, if anybody is watching this, you can watch me watch the Game Awards later tonight. So that'll be fun. I'm gonna have some drinks and watch it on Twitch, and comment. Hopefully, there's some more drunken rambling like last year. I don't know if you remember that guy that like was like talking about how the games were better than movies and all that, and he was like totally wasted. I don't know if you guys watched it last year. But
This rings a bell.
I forget which guy. He like won an award, and he ranted about like how much better the game industry is than movie industry, whatever. It was dumb but hilarious at the same time because he was obviously like completely tanked, you know. He was like, "Fuck you, man." Yeah.
Is that the guy who made? It wasn't the guy who made. Is it called No Way Out or something? It was the indie game. Which
it was
EA...
it was some weird like indie. I don't remember the name of it, but yeah, the guy like made an ass of himself, and it was pretty hilarious.
yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, but actually, cool news involving Nintendo. Lena Raine from Celeste will actually be doing a performance there at the Game Awards tonight because they're basically trying to make it like the Oscars, where like in the Oscars, like every nominated song, there's a performance of it in the thing. So they're doing the same thing, like every game that's nominated for Best Music, which it's a shame that The Messenger isn't in there, but Celeste is, and the girl who wrote Celeste, she'll actually be there. I don't know, she'll have an orchestra with her, so I don't know if she's like conducting it or whatever, but she'll be on stage for it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm interested if she'll be playing like keyboard, or if it'll be like a more of a DJ kind of setup where she's. I wonder.
Yeah.
Cameo.
Yeah, sorry. What were you saying, Jeremy, about the DJ setup?
Well, like, yeah, because I don't even really know. I know because I follow her on Twitter, and she talks a lot about different software and stuff she uses to make her music. So, is it just gonna be boiled down to the brass tacks, and it's just gonna be her and a piano, or
well,
what are we gonna get here?
She's gonna have an orchestra. They did say that, like in the. So that's why I was kind of trying to figure out, like, will she be playing part of it? Will she be like conducting it? Like, I mean, she'll be on stage, but she'll have an orchestra with her. So maybe she'll be like playing piano, and there'll be stuff with that. I don't know, but I'm really interested to see it. I think it'll be great.
I am too.
Yeah,
I think that's cool that an indie game is up there for best game of the year.
Game of the year too. Yeah,
AAA titles.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That must have been a pretty like very on purpose kind of decision. They must have thought about that.
Well, I mean, it did get. I mean, I don't know how they choose their categories or who gets nominated, but Celeste did have a lot of buzz behind it when it came out. Yeah. So maybe that's what incorporated it. I mean, they had PUBG like not even done last year as Game of the Year, so and look what happened to that.
Sure.
That one disappeared.
I don't know how much you guys know about the Game Awards, but like I'm wondering who puts it on. Who's the sort of governing body behind it?
It's Spike is what's behind it. Spike TV, which is funny.
Spike TV is now defunct.
Well, they're still. I mean, they're still doing the Game Awards, though. I mean, which I think is because they were the ones like they started it way back when, and they're keeping it going now with this.
Right.
Which is funny
because Spike TV channel. I thought there wasn't a channel anymore.
I don't think there. I don't think there is a channel. I don't know what it would. I watch it on YouTube, so I don't know what it would be on. Or if it's on TV. I don't even know if it's on TV. I would just watch it streaming.
I mean, I've always thought the Game Awards, because it was like Spike putting it on, it was like the MTV Movie Awards, and I always thought like, I wish that there was, with the Academy Awards, they have the Academy, which is, it's actual people who are in the movie industry, voting on things and all that. So I've always thought like the Game Awards was kind of like not legit because it's put on by Spike TV.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. I mean, I never really had respect for it, but they've I feel like they've put
involved, it seems.
They put a lot more into it. Like they're really trying to be like they're calling it the Game Awards now, like the Game Awards. Like they're the only Game Awards there are, like that type of thing. So I feel like they're really trying to, and they have been. I mean, last year it was like a big presentation, they had like live performances and like all this, and they're very much trying to make it like the Oscars. So, more power to them. If they weren't doing like big announcements and all that, I wouldn't really care. But it's almost kind of like that's part of the fun of it, I guess, and the part of the fun of watching it. And last year when I watched it, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh shit, I should be like streaming this or something. But last year, aside from the Bayonetta stuff, they also announced they dropped that Zelda DLC like right in the middle of it, so that was cool. Like the final like Breath of the Wild DLC. So it has been something, you know. They're trying to make an event out of it, and more power to them.
I would just be interested to know how they make their decisions.
I think it's all vote. It's all voting based. I don't know about how stuff get nominated, but the voting is all.
Right.
You can do it because I voted. I went on the website and voted. Like I did vote for Celeste for Game of the Year and all that.
There's like the People's Choice.
Yeah.
Awards section or whatever, but I think the rest of it is.
No, you vote. All of it is People's Choice for the Game Awards.
All of it is really okay.
Yeah, because you can vote for everything, so it is like person voted for. But as far as like how they choose the categories in the games and all that, that would be up to them, like what's nominated. Mm. But yeah, no, you vote yourself, so it's all it is all based on the viewer. So yeah, but yeah,
that makes sense, doesn't it? Because I suppose if you sort of predetermine what's going to be in each category, it stops people from potentially, you know, getting some terrible game sort of nominated in the first place,
right?
And
sure.
sort of like, you know, making
some
a sort of a mockery of it. Yeah.
You can still.
Level 5 did something like that, didn't they? Is it Level 5 where they did like a character vote on? They said like, who's your favorite character? And of course you're expecting like Professor Layton or something, and then everyone bombed it, and it ended up being like some plane or something like that.
Oh,
was
yeah.
the crown the best character.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's like
they voted for Bodie McBoatface.
Well, it's like Smash Brothers, like with the new character, where it's like Waluigi. Everybody votes for that, and it's like that's not a good character. But yeah, I think that's all I had. Is there any other news thing that you guys know of? All I've really had down was the Game Awards stuff. Let me check. I played some Warframe. I don't want to talk about it for a whole long, but it's a fun game. You should check it out, John.
Really?
Warframe. It's for free. It feels like, as far as much as I played, it feels like a full-on game. You know, like a third-person shooter. It reminds me of the game Vanquish for PlayStation 3, which was like a super fast. It was a platinum game, like a super fast shooter. Kind of reminds me of that. But I played around with that, and it's actually worth checking out.
It's definitely like on the Twitch side of the shooting genre.
Yeah,
you're not really kind of like ducking behind a corner and like trying to take guys out. You're just like run and gun.
Yeah. There's no cover in there that I know of. But from what I played of it, and I enjoyed it, and I'll return to it. And it's totally free to play. I think I found a spot where it like asked me to buy a bundle or something, but I didn't, and it didn't really stop me from playing it. So I think you should check it out if you get any sort of free time from Smash Brothers, John or Jeremy.
Okay.
You can try it out. Yeah.
I've been playing a little bit of it.
Oh, you did try it out?
But I've just gotten through the intro part.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I'm in my ship and I can't figure out how to like go anywhere.
Oh, you kind of just like, I think it marks it some. You just walk up to one of those consoles and where it shows the map of Earth, and then you just pick a quest from there, and then it'll take you somewhere. That's how I was doing it. But yeah, it does throw a lot of stuff at you at the beginning, where it's just like, I don't know what this means. And the font is super tiny too, so it's better to be played on a bigger screen because some of it's kind of hard to read. And actually, I think playing it portable, is okay if you can read it. You know, have it close enough to your face. But yeah, that's what.
There's some Tetris news.
Oh.
Yeah, they had the Tetris World Championships this week, and it was pretty dramatic. If you guys haven't watched it, I really recommend taking a look at least the closing minutes.
You haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah, there was the 7-time Tetris World Champion Jonas Neubauer. Well, there was a bit of an upset. He was defeated this year by a 16-year-old kid, Joseph Saley. Just a kid kind of came out of nowhere, one of those come out of nowhere stories, and he just defeated the champion. So it's spoilers if you're planning on watching it later, but that's what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, I bet.
Because the kid was behind for like a long time during the match.
Yeah.
Really you should watch it. It's worth the watch.
For sure.
He came from behind. He did it. Yeah, and then what else? The Toe Jam and Earl, the new Toe Jam and Earl game comes out on March 1st. That was announced this week.
Oh, cool.
I don't remember if it was announced for Switch. I think it was.
It'd be weird if it wasn't. It'd be weird if it wasn't on Switch. Toe Jam and Earl. I think you might be the only one I know of that's excited about that game, John.
I just love the look of it, And it was one of those games that I'd never played as a kid, but at the time when it came out, I didn't have the Genesis yet, and I was like, "Oh, that looks cool!" Like cartoony alien characters. So it always kind of appealed to me, and the new style of it is kind of a throwback to like early '90s alternative comics, and it just looks like graphically it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, depending on what else comes out at that time, it's not on the eShop yet for coming soon. But depending on what else comes out at that time and the price, I don't know. I've never played a Toe Jam and Earl before, so
I have the second one on Genesis, and I played a little bit of it, but I hear the first one's better.
They're both completely different from what I've heard.
Yeah, they are. The one I have is like more of a straight-up side-scroller action adventure, and the first one's like a top-down view roguelike something or other.
Yeah. Some sort of a roguelike procedural generated.
But the music's real funky, and I don't know. It's stylistically, it's definitely a product of its times.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that about it, and of course that '90s aesthetic is popular. I'll check it out, especially if we get the other two, which we are, right? They're part of the Sega Genesis collection.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh yeah, they're going to be on, which that comes out tomorrow as well. While you were gone, Jeremy John said he was gonna pass on that one for now.
Oh,
I'm gonna pass on it. Yeah, not that I don't want it. I still want it. I just, practically speaking, all I'm gonna play this month is Smash. So why not?
Yeah.
Wait till next
month. It's an
month.
Expensive month.
Yeah.
It is.
Why do all the good games have to come out on Christmas month?
Well, I mean, it's an expensive.
Why?
It's an expensive week. Like, it's really weird to release the Katamari Damacy game and like the Sega Collection on the same day as Smash Brothers. So it's like, why? I guess it's releasing for other systems too. So they're thinking about the people who don't have Switches, who don't care maybe. But
and probably there will be a lot of people who they buy Smash now. Now they're like, okay, what am I going to do on my Christmas break? They still want a new game in like 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. So hopefully it'll get sales later. But let's if that's all you guys got for news, let's take a break and get to our topic and get to talking about some ocarinas.
Sure.
All right. I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave on the. Where is it? I was gonna leave on a song from the game while I run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Cool.
That song, that Gerudo song is always my favorite song from Ocarina of Time. We were just playing.
That's a catchy beat.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really good songs in there, but I think that one's my all-time favorite of all of them. So yeah, let's talk about the Ocarina of Time, like the game that's considered by many to be the best game of all time. Now in its 20-year anniversary, and the am I correct? When was the release? The American release was the 27th, right?
20. I want to say 23rd for some reason.
Or was it 23rd? Yeah.
It was the 23rd. Okay, yeah. I mean, you would know, of course. Bart would know.
I could be wrong.
No. I mean, I'm sure you know. Yeah, according to 23rd.
Was that the UK release also?
I think the UK release is a fair bit late. I want to say 12th of December.
Oh.
No, it says 11th.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia,
is,
it says the 11th of December. Because I remember it coming out. I remember it coming out before Thanksgiving, or maybe around there. If not, I don't know what. Back in 20 years ago, I don't know what day Thanksgiving was on. I guess were they still releasing on Friday then? I don't even know. Like way back in the day. But I wanted to ask you guys at the beginning here of our Ocarina of Time episode, what is your what is your beginning experience with Ocarina of Time? Like, what was your very first Ocarina of Time experience or story?
Firing it up Christmas morning.
Like, when did you first play it, or when did it first like blow you away?
Yeah, I got a Christmas morning, and immediately, like, as soon as the presents were all done, ran downstairs to my basement where we had the TV and the 64, fired it up, and you got to remember at the time, like, internet video wasn't really a thing, and so when you turned on a game, you didn't really know what to expect at the first time you turned it on, and of course, I think Ocarina has possibly one of the best openings of any video game. Just sets the mood so perfectly, as opposed to every other action game or whatever. It's just like blah blah blah, cool stuff, blah blah blah, gun blazing, whatever.
Clap.
You start out this game on a quiet field in the evening and with a horse trotting along and that peaceful music. It's just it's like, oh, this is the kind of game this is, and it was striking to me. It's one of my most vivid video game memories is turning on Ocarina for the first time, just being like, wow, this is like so different.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
When I was speaking of that opening, like I just did like a stream of Ocarina of Time. I actually played it for about like 12 hours. But I was thinking, watching that opening, I'm like, man, this opening really is a spoiler. Like, if you didn't know that Link was going to turn into Adult Link later in the game, because it shows him like running around with the horse and all that, and I was like, because I'm trying to think of, did I know that he turned into Adult Link? I'm sure I did, because I stayed, because I read like so much ahead of time then, and there wasn't really, the spoiler thing wasn't really then either, so where it was like, I don't know. It wasn't so much we're like, I don't want to know what happens like after the beginning or whatever. So,
I mean, can you imagine the uproar if the newest Zelda game came out a couple weeks later, other parts of the world, like that would just ruin it for other people. Like, it would be spoiled by then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was now everything is a lot more release everything on the same day everywhere, but back then it wasn't, because you were saying you had like a month to wait there, or almost a month, like for the UK release, which I'm sure was awful. Like, if have to wait for that. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be. It would probably it wasn't so much the information age then, where you would see as much of it and see as much spoiler stuff as you were saying. But yeah, I remember getting it. I think that the Ocarina of Time was the very first game that I ever like, or probably one of the first games that I like bought on the day, or like I reserved it and bought it around the day. I don't know if I got it on exactly the day or around the time of the day, but I actually bought it. I bought it from Toys R Us. It was a Toys R Us game, So back in the day when that was still there, which I think it's a furniture store now. The one that was over by me, it's officially completely gone and turned into something else. But yeah, I remember reserving it. I remember going in there and I got the the little paper slip and like took it in the back and turned it in for a game. And I remember I brought it back to I was at Lincoln Christian College then, and I took it back and I played it a little bit and I'm like, oh, this is all right. And then I went to go see my dad for Thanksgiving. And I was gone for like a couple days. And I left it in my room, and my roommate was playing it while I was gone. And I came back, and his like eyes were like so bright, and he was like, "Dude," this game is like the best game ever. You got to see it, And I had like, I left it there, and it all of a sudden had become a phenomenon, like practically overnight. Like everybody in the dorm was like, "Holy shit, this game is so insane." And he had already gotten like. He'd already gotten like well into the second half of the game, like when Link's the adult and all that. So I had, and I think I had only maybe beat the first dungeon, maybe the second dungeon as young Link. So I hadn't become adult Link yet. And I remember him like kind of helping me through that first forest dungeon, and like doing like the Phantom Ganon and be like, oh yeah, no, he's running through this painting and he turns around here and yeah. And I just remember it just blowing up all over the dorm and everybody getting crazy about it. That's my my first Ocarina of Time experience. What do you guys got? Do you want to go? Who would like to go first, Martin or Jeremy?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
You sure?
Go for it, man.
Yeah, I think first I was going to say my experience. I think is really similar to John's, where it was Christmas morning. Obviously, it's funny like you say, like it wasn't the information age, but magazines and things, they just hyped up the game. It'd been in development for so long. You'd seen so much of it, and it changed so much and things. So finally get your hands on it was really magical. And again, it's that intro. You turn it on, and immediately you knew then anyway that you were in for a real different experience. It was so graceful compared to like most video game openings and things like that. Even other N64 games, you didn't get. They still felt very gamey, whereas. Even Star Fox, which is quite a cinematic game, the opening still feels. It doesn't feel quite as cinematic as Ocarina of Time does. It's very, very good. And I remember I sort of I popped it in and I think. I must have played it on Christmas Day. I remember it took me a few days to get to sort of, to beat the first 3 dungeons and do the time travel bit. And I still remember the time travel thing. It was probably quite late for me at the time. I would have been about 12 years old or something at the time, and it's sort of 10:30 or something like that, and finally get to pull the sword out of the stone, and my sister's there watching, and she's like, Mom, you've got to see this game, it's amazing. She's like, get off the damn N64 and go to bed. So I'm just gonna sleep.
Stop playing.
It was amazing. So yeah, good times.
How about you, Jeremy?
So I didn't have a 64 of my own at the time. And so I had to wait until that Christmas when my friend got it. And then, of course, he had to play it first. And the only way for me to play it was to go to his house. And he was a friend who I often spent the night at his house on the weekends. We'd hang out most of the time. So it wasn't, abnormal for me to come over and just sit on his N64 while he went about his business. So that's kind of what I did. I came over to his house one weekend and kind of ignored him and played his N64, and he would pop in occasionally and sit on a chair like on the bed behind me and be like, oh yeah, you got to do this on this part, and he didn't really wait for me to ask if I needed help. He would just tell me, so I was kind of happy when he would leave the room, and I'm like, okay, I get to figure this next part out by myself. But
leave me alone.
He would he loved it, and he had completely beaten it at that point, so he was all about he wanted more people to experience it so he had someone to talk to about it, I think. So he was like, yeah, to beat that game so we could talk about it. So I played it. I marathoned it in 2 or 3 weekends, just playing it constantly when I was at his house, and beat it within a month, I think, and just was blown away, of course. Yeah, I'd seen a little bit of it at a store kiosk, so I wasn't completely dumbfounded by the opening visuals. I thought they were cool, but I had seen them already at that point.
Mm-hmm. When did you finally get your own copy?
It was probably my senior year of high school when we finally got a 64, and that was one of the first games we got for it. So I think I had, yeah. I think that we might have gotten Zelda and Mario at the same time, which is weird because they were competing for each other's attention really strongly.
Had you already beaten? Excuse me. Had you already beaten the game on your friend's copy of Ocarina of Time?
Right, I had already beaten it at that point.
Okay.
By the time I got a copy of it, and I played through it again. But he had one of the original. He had one of the original, the first printings of it or whatever. So it had some like glitches that were still in there that you couldn't find in later versions. Oh. And there's notably a Master Sword glitch in the final battle that's pretty cool if you can pull it off. Oh. You can basically float around and ride on an invisible horse.
Oh yeah, no, I think mine does that because I remember you doing that. Is that the one where you can switch something with the B button and it right? Isn't that how it? I think you did it on my copy because I have
anything you want while you're on your horse. Yeah. So you can use your hook shot, and if you're using your hook shot while you're on your horse, then you can hook shot to a tree, and it pulls you to the tree, but the horse stays where it is, and then you're riding like an invisible horse, a little bit of a distance away from Epona, and it's a lot of fun. And I remember figuring out that you could use that trick to you create quantum entanglement with your horse or whatever, so you could jump off a cliff and then press the button, and then you would zip right back to where the horse was. So that was kind of fun, just kind of exploring where I could go, and then immediately had a safety line that would pull me back.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember is it's the final battle with Ganon. Spoilers.
20 years old.
You have the Master Sword at this point.
Oh no!
You have the Master Sword at this point. He knocks it the heck out of your hands. He's like.
Yeah.
Sorry. And you're like, oh no. And so naturally you're like, oh no, the most powerful weapon of the game, your inclination, run over, grab it quick. But you're supposed to save and quit. Yeah. You save and quit, and then you start again, and the Master Sword's no longer in your inventory.
Oh, yeah. No, I do remember you doing that.
Something happens where you can now equip whatever you want in that spot in the inventory, and that's where the glitches start stacking up.
Yeah. From that, I remember you doing that on my copy, because I have the old the gold one. Well, I still have it, thankfully. And I remember you would do that, and you'd put the Ocarina on the B button, and you'd be on the horse, and then it would be you standing there playing the Ocarina, but the horse would just run around violently behind you while you're playing the Ocarina. And I was
stop playing the damn Ocarina.
And I was like, wow, this is insane, because it looked like the horse was freaking out because it didn't know it's what are you doing? You were just riding me, and now you're not. Yeah, no, that's. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I should if I make it all the way through.
You're only allowed to use the arrows when you're riding me.
Yeah. If I end up playing the game all the way through, I should definitely do that. Mess around with that crazy thing.
I've looked online trying to find specifically the step-by-step of that glitch, and I haven't been able to find it, but I'm almost positive that was it. I think you
did it. No, I'm pretty sure you did that on my game because I had it saved at Ganondorf, and I remember you just totally doing that. And that makes sense. That would be a thing that would be. And I think, am I correct in this that also the re-release of Ocarina, they changed the blood to green? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because I loved that there was blood in there in the end. I was like, that's so cool. When he finally does the final blow to Ganondorf and there's blood, I'm like, yes. I'm like yes, everyone else in the world is taking video games seriously now. That's what I felt like when I saw it. I was like, because I was, I thought the game was so epic, and seeing blood from Ganon at the very end, I thought was important and needed to be there. And then I was kind of bummed that they changed it later to green blood, but
they would only one up that in Wind Waker when you stab him in the damn head.
Yeah, right. Except there's no blood. In that. That was an amazing part though, where he puts the sword in his head. And I mentioned it before on the show, but I always wanted there to be a sequel to that where Link has to fight some other big bad, but he has to pull the sword out of Ganon's head, and Ganon has to come back to life or something. So then you have to fight both. Would have been a cool one. But yeah, this Ocarina of Time is pretty monumental to a lot of things. I mean, it was a big stepstone of John and I's relationship, because I remember John said that Ocarina of Time was his favorite game of all time, and I was like, oh, that's cool. We can be buddies now.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a part of it.
Yeah, I remember the first time we hung out was because we told the story before, but Resident Evil,
the Resident Evil
GameCube remake. Yeah. I was the only one in the dorm who had it.
Yeah,
and to my knowledge, anyway,
that I knew of. Yeah,
and our mutual friend Chris Leeson. I was looking for a place to play it because my friend, my roommate rather, was hogging the TV.
Yeah.
I just got this game after like spent the whole day trying to find it. Like, I need some place to play this game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went up to Trey's room and met him for the first time, and within I think I was standing at the door. I wasn't even like in your apartment yet when you mentioned Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy knows who Shigeru Miyamoto is.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought that was funny. I wasn't even inside the room yet, and you were already talking about Shigeru Miyamoto. I'm like, yes, this guy has the enthusiasm, the Nintendo know-how. We can be buddies.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so we played Resident Evil.
The password was Shigeru.
Yeah.
The password, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the password to get in. Yeah, so, yeah, Ocarina, you know, it makes friendships.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
Yeah, I think. Well, I met Jeremy before that, but it was after the release of Ocarina of Time, and I think like Ocarina of Time had kind of like settled by then. But I do remember playing Majora's Mask with Jeremy at college and all that. Yep. Which Majora's Mask is still my favorite Legend of Zelda game. You know, pitchforks if you want to. You can at me on Twitter, fight me, whatever. But when I was playing through Ocarina of Time again, I kept thinking about where the characters ended up in Majora's Mask, and like how I felt like a lot of them were fleshed out better, I guess, in that game in the end. Like especially with like when I'm in the Zora area, and I'm like, man, wasn't it really cool when they were in a band, like in Majora's Mask, and like the Goron ghosts and all that. I don't know. I think I've played that one. I mean, I've played both of them a lot, but I think Majora's Mask is fresher in my mind because I just played the 3DS one a few times, and I played the 3DS Ocarina as well. It's just I kept thinking about where all the characters end up in Majora's Mask when I was doing this recent play of Ocarina of Time. Be like, oh yeah, that's where these guys are originally, or oh yeah, there's that guy. He's doing all this stuff.
How far did you get into it? I was watching you stream it the other night.
I beat the Forest Temple as Adult Link. That's as far as I got. Okay. But that was about like 12 hours in. I actually got really stuck on the Forest Temple because of that. I forgot that there's a key in the very beginning there before you go into the dungeon.
Oh yeah.
There's a key like at the top of the tree there at the very beginning of the dungeon, and I kind of got stuck because I forgot about that tree. So I was like running around trying to find all these extra secret areas, and I kind of got stuck for a while. I spent way too much time on the forest dungeon than I should have, but yeah, it was all because of that fucking key at the beginning.
I had a similar experience in my recent playthrough when I got to the water temple. There's that key which is in the central sort of room where you it's got like spikes on the floor, and you sort of, I don't know, it's in the main room, and then you have within that there's like a I don't know what it is. It's like a very wide pillar you can go inside of. I don't know how to describe it. And in there you raise the water at one point, and it makes a platform come up. And it's one of those ones when most people, when they played the water temple, the cutscene shows the platform coming up, and as a result there's a hole underneath, and you went to go under there and get the key. And anyway, I remembered to do that because that's what I remember the first time I played it. I made that mistake and I missed it. So I got that key, but then I completely forgot about another bit where you sort of meant to go halfway up and I think blow up a wall with a bomb or something like that. So I was just going mad because I was sitting there thinking, I got that key. I have all the keys. How can I not find where I'm going? And it just turned out in the end, actually, I'd completely forgotten to. I think it's the area where you meet Ruto for the first time as an adult, and I think, I don't know, I must have like at that point I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the loo quickly or something, and then just completely missed the point of it or something.
Yeah, that I feel like that game, like if you miss one part, it doesn't seem to like fall into place as much as it should or whatever. And especially like you talk about the water temple, which is already like a kind of a pain in the ass to play through. I know like that's been legend that everybody hates the water temple and all that, just mostly because you have to pause every time to take the boots off and on. Like that was really what killed it, I think. And even at the time when it came out, I still felt like that was kind of like, this isn't like that smooth. Like it should be smoother than this. It shouldn't be like you have to pause and put them on and off. And in the re-release, in the 3DS re-release, they made it a button to where you have a button to turn your boots off and on, so it does make it a lot easier. But yeah, that one was always like kind of a slog. just being like, yeah, I have to do this. But would make it even worse with like not having that key, you know, and having to go back, and get it and all that. So, but yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, what are some of your favorite? I was gonna ask some of your favorite stuff from Ocarina of Time. Let's start off. What's your favorite noise of Ocarina of Time? Which we said it a little bit at the very beginning. You know, like all the characters kind of make weird noises. Like they all kind of have like a little voice thing that they do. What's your favorite one of those? I mean, they're all. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's Link's, of course, and there's also like the. I like the guy who has, you know, I always love the guys who are building the house, like how they're just like running around like not building the house, and the dad is like so upset that they're not building the house, and you talk to him and he's like, bah! I always get a kick out of him.
Thinking about that,
and like his face, the way his face moves, it totally looks like it was made to say that noise. The bah! Yeah, and they do really funny stuff with that in Majora's Mask too. Like there's this part where you go to the guys who make like the specific golden sword that you can get. Then they have this whole conversation back and forth like that. It's absolutely hilarious. Where it's like, yeah, I love that part.
Is it Zubora and Gabor, isn't it? I think that they are. It's all very strange interaction.
Yeah,
it's just
it's strange, but I love it.
In that as well, 'cause he's like, Gabor, fetch our customer some coffee, quick like. You know,
yeah, and he's like,
so unusual for Zelda.
Yeah, no,
I think the audio recording session that would have been so fun to sit in on. Like hear the direction and like no, like what do you want? No, more like.
Well, I'm sure whoever created that
3 weeks of recording.
I would think that whoever created that character, or maybe Miyamoto created that character, he'd be like, you know, he's gonna be like, bah! You know, like I'm sure he had it in his mind, right? Like exactly how this person would sound. I would hope. I mean, that's what I'd like to believe.
I like when Link like falls a great distance and he like lands and he's like,
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite. It's like that's kind of the sound I imagined I'd make if I fell from a great height, and I was like, oh, that hurt.
Oh yeah. No, I was watching. I was watching that when I was playing it. I was like, man, yeah. I'd probably. I mean, I wouldn't be standing still or running like Link is, but yeah, when you fall from a long space and he's like, ah.
Oh, God, my spine just got compressed.
And actually, speaking of, I want to hear your favorite noise as well, Martin. But before I forget, I noticed this on the playthrough. But the ghosts from the Forest Temple, they make the same noise as the boos from Mario 64. And I never noticed that until now.
Right. Yeah.
They do the same like that. They make the same exact noise as the boos from Mario, which I was like, oh wow, that's awesome.
Oh, they do, don't they? Yeah.
What is your favorite sound or character noise, Martin?
I think I was going to say the same one as you, because I have a feeling, I could be wrong, but does Ingo at London Branch, does he make that sound when you win a Pona?
Oh yeah, no, I think he does.
Like,
yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah, when his mustache is all like twisted and he's all upset.
Yeah, there's that, and the other one is, I don't know why, but it always gets me every time I play, but Ganondorf's laugh, because it's really like really obnoxious. It's like really deep, like
yeah.
It's sort of like at the end you're like, stop, please.
yeah, for sure. And speaking of well, it's not really Ganondorf, but I noticed a lot in the beginning. They really do like hammer it on your head that you're the Courage of the Triforce. Like when I was playing through this again, they probably say courage about 30 times, like within like the first like 2 hours of the game. They're very like, do you have enough courage to go here? Like, how is your courage feeling? Like, are you enough courageous to do this? Like, it really like you hear it multiple. I think the owl keeps saying it to you, and some of the other people. Yeah. I think the tree does too.
Would you like to hear about courage again?
Yeah, they really say courage a lot, and I'm like, no. And I never really noticed it as much, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess because you're the courage part of the Triforce, and they're just really pushing that to you at the very beginning of the game there, being like, hey, courage, you're courage. Did you know that? You got courage. I don't know if
foreshadowing to an excessive degree.
Yeah. And when you guys were joking about Ganondorf being in the game and that being a spoiler, he's at the very, very beginning of the game. Like right when you start it, you see him.
That's a good point,
yeah.
The game spoiled itself.
Yeah. Right when you start it shows him. But yeah, no, I mean, that cinematic intro actually blew me away too. Like just the way you start it and it shows like, like the storm and like Zelda leaving and Ganon on the horse and all that. This was just like, it's just right off the bat there, right at the beginning. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is a different game. Like this is a different kind of game. Like this is definitely going to be gonna blow you away as you're playing it. And playing it now, like I feel like it's aged really well. Aside from like Link being incredibly slow, I did notice that playing it again, is that he just walks so slow. And even I feel like adult Link walks even slower. Or at least it feels like he's slower. Like when you get to that point, and it's just like it takes me forever to get anywhere. Especially when you're walking across when you're walking from one spot to another, like on the main field. It feels like it takes days, like to get from one side to another, just because it's so slow. But I mean, yeah, this 20-year-old game.
That was part of the claim to fame, that it took 5 minutes to walk across the map because it was so huge.
Yeah,
I do remember reading about that and just being like, "Whoa, 5 minutes? That's like huge."
Well, I mean, once again, not to talk back to Majora's Mask, but in Majora's Mask you got those bunny ears and you could walk faster, so everything after that felt incredibly slow to me, because I was like,
or you could just roll around as a ball.
You could, but
I would roll constantly in that game.
You could, but it's kind of annoying, and I don't think it goes that much faster to roll everywhere.
It just feels like you're doing something to make it go faster. That's it.
Yeah, and I did do it a couple times when I was playing it, trying to get Link to go faster and all that. But yeah, once you got that bunny hood and Majora's Mask and you could walk faster and you did flips between the jumps, it's just Ocarina wasn't the same for me. To come back to it.
When they make the Ocarina of Time movie, I want the actor to just roll everywhere for 2 hours. Somersaults.
Yeah.
Well, I always wanted, like years ago, IGN did like a fake Legend of Zelda trailer for April Fool's Day, which I actually thought was real at the time because I was younger, but and I'd never really seen them do that big of an April Fool's thing. But I always wanted to, if there ever was a trailer for Ocarina of Time, I always wanted them to have the line where they say like, it's in the very beginning of the game, but it's where it says something like, No hero this lazy could save us, or something like that. Remember when he used to sleep?
How can Hyrule's destiny depend on such a lazy boy?
Yeah, that one. I love that line. Yeah, I always wanted that to be in the trailer, like obviously in the movie somewhere, because it's a great line. But it would be a really cool like setup for the trailer, and you like the first reveal of Link is him sleeping there. I would love that to be, because a lot of that, and that was kind of a reoccurring thing. There's a lot of ones where Link is asleep, like when the game starts. I feel like. I think he was asleep in Wind Waker. I think he was asleep in Skyward also. Probably Twilight Princess as well.
The whole thing was a dream, right?
Asleep in Breath of the Wild also.
Yeah, he was asleep in Link to the Past.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it always starts off with him asleep. Aside from like the first one, but yeah. I don't know what else can we say about this amazing game aside from it pretty much changing the world at the time. I mean, the Z targeting system, I think in itself was
talk a lot about that.
Was a huge revolution at the time.
So I remember in like college, it was 2002 or so. I was telling my friend about Ocarina of Time. He hadn't played it yet, and I was trying to convince him, because I don't think he'd ever played a Zelda. I was trying to convince him of the importance of this game, and just immediately, after Ocarina, every 3D game, it seems, adopted Z targeting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Z targeting came from Ocarina of Time. This is like 4 years after the game released, mind you.
Yeah.
And I was speaking about it like it was like, well-worn history or whatever.
Sure.
It's like every single game since Ocarina has used Z targeting, so you have to play this game. You have to play this game. So I convinced him to play the game because of Z targeting. That was sort of the hook that got him interested. And I wish I'd never told him about it, because I never got the game back from him. That was my original copy.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It was like one of my greatest gaming, tragedies. I did get the game some years later again.
Let's say
some say he's still Z targeting everything.
He's still Z targeting all over the place with my copy.
How dare you? How dare you Z target? That was my copy. Was it the gold edition that you had? Did you get the gold one?
That was the gray one, but I upgraded to the gold one.
Oh, okay. So you have the gold one now. Did you have the gold one, Jeremy? Did you guys all get the gold one when it came out?
No, I think mine's the gray one.
I'm sure you have the gold cartridge.
No, it's
Martin.
gold. I see it.
Yeah.
On my shelf.
So you guys are lucky, because in Europe we didn't actually get a gold copy of the game released. It was just a grey cartridge, but there is the thing I was showing earlier. So that copy of it, which I think might be reversed because of my
sealed
thing. That's in a. It's not a sealed copy, but it's in a like a protector thing.
Oh, got it.
Nice.
But that's a PAL copy of it, and it's got a gold cartridge. But it's an Australian PAL edition. So they got it. They got it down under, and I think the color of the cartridge is slightly different from the ones that you got. It's like a slightly lighter sort of. It's not as sort of vibrant, basically, because I remember I've posted it on Twitter before, and people have gone, "Why have you got a grey card with the collector's edition?" And I'm like, "It's not a grey card; it's gold. You just it just doesn't look as gold as yours."
Oh, sure, yeah.
That or I bought a knockoff, maybe, I don't know. So, but yeah,
for those listening who aren't watching the stream, that's you have the boxed, and that's everything in box, right? Like that's with the whatever the cardboard in there and the booklet and whatnot.
I've got this. So I've got this. This one is I bought probably like 7 years ago or something like that. And yeah, it's got a manual. I mean, it's not sealed, but it's got the manual. It's got the game. And actually, the person I bought it from included two. Posted them recently on Twitter. The official Nintendo magazine, the UK edition, released over 2 issues. They released these mini guides, which sort of told you how to play through the game, and it sort of it covered absolutely everything. And they included those in there as a sort of a way to make it a bit, bit more tempting and to make me spend more money on eBay, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a shame because I think I actually had the original versions of those and then lost them at some point, so I probably paid through the nose. But it's a nice little addition and things like that. And what I find interesting as well is how the like the written text on the back of the boxes differs between regions and things. It's quite. I was noticing like this Australian edition is very different from the UK PAL copy, like the way it's written and what they focus on and stuff like that. Just really kind of interesting.
Oh, like the actual description is completely different between the two of them?
Yeah. It's very.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's always interesting to note those sorts of differences.
For sure. What is like the main? Is there like a main thing that you could say that's different, like as a summary, or?
In terms of the back of the box, because I've got the other copy somewhere, but I can't remember. I remember it being somewhat different. But one thing actually, which is quite interesting, I hadn't noticed this until when it was the actual anniversary the other week. And I was taking some pictures of the games because I wanted to put them on Twitter and say, what's your favorite memory and all this. And anyway, I was looking through the European Ocarina of Time instruction manual, and it got to the page where it shows like a map of Hyrule, and it's got the characters around, sort of drawings of the characters around the outside, and a little description of who they are. And I've never noticed, but at least in earlier editions, because I got mine at Christmas, so I got it fairly. Not long after it came out. But there's actually a typo where Saria's name is actually written as Salia, so an L instead of the R.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Which is, and it says, this is Link's best friend. I made some silly tweets saying, well, best friend, but doesn't actually know what her name is, and sort of things like that. And,
but hey, Salia.
Leaves her in the forest.
Exactly, yeah, leaves her in the forest, steals a fairy ocarina. But yeah, I think it's. I think the typo comes from the fact that in German, I think Saria is known as Salia. I don't know if they pronounce it in exactly the same way, but yeah, kind of a neat little sort of thing, really, in a way. Sort of makes the 1998's perfect game imperfect.
I wonder if I wonder like what Saria's name is in Japanese, because I know like there's like where that like the L and the R are like the same pretty much. It's like Lodo and Roto for Dragon Quest, where it's like either it's both at the same time. So is that like a Saria type thing in the Japanese version too? I don't know. We should wonder about that. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's nice to see all the differences for sure on the different boxes. What are you guys' favorite moments of the game? You were just saying that while you were talking about what you put on Twitter, but the one that I always go to is the part with Shadow Link, where you walk into the room and there's the and there's like the water and the tree, and then like he shows up. It's always been great things with trees, because like one of my favorite moments of Majora's Mask too is when you're on like the moon and there's the tree there and the kid under the tree that you walk to and all that. So I feel like a lot of stuff with trees is always what I think of. But that Shadow Link part always like blew me away, like just where it's like you go in the room and then there's just nothing there. It's just like this open area, and there's the tree there, and then you fight him.
Mm-hmm. It's the way as well when you beat him at the end, the way that it transitions back like it was all like a mirage. And you then see the room like it's just such a cool effect.
Yeah, it's like the what do you call it? It's the room from Next Generation, right? Where they do the that's what I thought of. Where it's like where there was all like a mirage, or what is it? The Danger Room is what they call it in X-Men. I remember that. Yeah, where it's it goes away and you were just in like this room, and it's all. Yeah. What are you guys' favorite memories of this game, of the Ocarina of Time?
I don't know. There's just so many to choose from. It's tough. I don't know. I think I love the desert level. Just for some reason that level struck me as like, I was so far into the game, and I still just couldn't believe there was still so many like hardy new portions of the game to take on at that point.
Yeah,
like that was my impression. I thought, I'm leading up to the end and whatever. And there's the whole desert area that I haven't even tackled yet, that I haven't even seen yet.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. How much more is there to this game?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my impression at the time.
And in the desert one, isn't it, like, I know that you can't enter there as the kid, but you have to go there. Don't you go there as adult Link, and then you go back to Kid Link, and then go there? Like, because you have to, I thought that was really cool that there was some more Kid Link stuff, or Young Link, I guess, after that. Yeah. That was a really neat
cool.
way to do it.
And then the way you get to it is through I forget what they called the desert, but you had to follow the light, and you wandered off that.
With the Lens of Truth, right?
Yeah, it was like this whole other section of the game that you could not get to before, and there it was toward the end of the game.
Yeah, but it
was a nice surprise.
Yeah. It was there.
It like a ghost that was leading you there? Or some kind of spirit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the Poes, which another thing I thought was funny when I was doing the playthrough. The Poe guy, the guy who collects the Poes. Number one, he's super creepy towards Link. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Where he keeps talking about how attractive he is and like how he wants him to, how if he was buying Poes, they'd get like so much more business or something like that. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But also,
like, if I was as attractive as you, I wouldn't need to sell Poes. And I was like, what?
Yeah. He's super.
Gloss over that. What did you say?
He's really he's very much like all into Link shit there. He's like, hey man, I never noticed like how aggressive he is with Link right there. He's like very much like, trying to get in his pants. But which they did. I did always think it was kind of funny that like they make Link very attractive. Like a lot of the female characters that you meet are all into Link and all that. But when he was talking about the Poes, where he's like Poes, they hate the world. I thought that was funny. Where they talk about the ghosts and how they hate the world, and I kept mentioning that in the stream. I was like, yeah, there's another Poe. It hates the world. I'd forgotten about that description, but yeah. And I always wondered, they should do this in one of the later Zelda games, but I always thought it'd be cool if you would have been able to like marry one of the girls, in that game. Like I was like, why can't you like have a relationship with one of them? Because they all like you. It's like between like Malin and like Rudo and like Zora and like, Ruda is the Zora girl, but yeah, I feel like all the women that you run into, they all kind of have a thing for Link, and I figured it'd be cool if you could go for one of them. I think in the
little Harvest Moon,
a little Harvest Moony let you do and there is I think there's a girl in what was it in Skyward Sword that you can have a relationship with, sort of. You can kind of date her for a minute, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I think you can dump her also if you want to see, because I remember there's a girl that you can visit, and it'll be like you're not gonna get married and have kids and all that, but you can kind of like have her as a girlfriend for a minute, if you go see her enough times, like she'll be, and I remember I did it to where like we were together, and then I like broke up with her so I could see like that part of the game too. I just wanted to see all the extra stuff. But yeah, there was a person in the town that you could sort of date in that one. But I thought it'd be cool if you could, if you could do it with all the characters that are into Link.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, Jeff.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say on that, is it a case of is it, I could be wrong here, but is the sort of suggested thing that Link ends up? People always say that Link ends up marrying Malon. Obviously, goes back to the childhood timeline, goes to Majora's Mask and all that, because in Twilight Princess, he's descended from like a load of ranchers, isn't he, or something? And so there's always that sort of
yeah. I never thought of that.
suggestion, maybe, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well,
Never put that together.
you have the Hyrule Historia, right, John? Don't you have that book? The
I've got it
Historia?
somewhere, yeah.
But you haven't. Does it explain like the the kids of Link? I don't think. All I really know is the timeline and all that, where it got into it, where it's like, hey.
I haven't really read through it like a book. I've kind of peeked at it like an encyclopedia or something. But yeah, I haven't got to that part, I guess.
I think in the timeline it puts Ocarina of Time like somewhere in the middle, right? Or like more, it's not the very, because I remember when it came out, it was supposed to be, they're going to be like, oh, this is the first game, like this is the beginning. Because at the very end of it, it ends with you meeting Zelda again. And I guess I always thought that was supposed to be like the beginning of like, I don't know, like the first game or like Link to the Past or whatever. And that was what they were going for with that, but yeah, it's yeah, that part.
But we come to find out Link just hangs out for a while and then goes for a trip in the woods. And
yeah, right. And then he goes and finds the Skull Kid, which I always thought. I don't know. I guess the guy that you give the Skull Mask to, that's supposed to be the guy who gets the Majora's Mask. I mean, that's what I always figured. That was a fan theory. I don't know if they actually went with that or not. But I always keep thinking about that whenever I see those Skull Kids. I'm like, keep thinking about Majora's Mask because I love that game and I love how creepy it is. But I love this one as well. Did you guys give your favorite memories, Martin and Jeremy, for the game?
So I was gonna say I had a couple of note just that kind of popped into my head. So as far as like a gameplay moment that I remember kind of blowing my mind, it was actually the first Forest Temple as an adult. That hallway that you where you twist the hallway.
Yeah, I love that part.
Okay.
Yeah, that blew my mind as a kid. I was just like, what? Like the whole like orientation of that room changed because the hallway like twists 180 degrees. And
Inception should pay some royalties to Nintendo.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, and and that whole temple's really fun, and it's the first temple as adult Link, so you kind of are getting your bearings with his controls and sort of learning like the limitations you have because you can't use certain weapons anymore. But and then the other thing is the Gravekeeper. The Gravekeeper is just cool.
Dampy.
Yes.
And I think I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is he the only character where when you go between the two times, he's dead in one and he's still alive in the other? Like,
oh yeah.
So.
That's kind of cool that you can be like, hey, I know you're dead, but right now you're alive again. And how he's like just this really like, kind of whimsical ghost as a dead guy. He's still like super helpful to you and wants to show you where the special treasure is. And,
The thing that can extend and bring things close to you. I think that's how they explain it.
And it goes
like
boing, boing.
Yeah. Dampy.
All kinds of perverts in this game.
Yeah.
Where you could go back and you could warn him that he's going to die, and as a result, he has like an existential crisis or something, or I don't know, like could be really interesting. You could help him avoid death.
I mean,
you just don't get a hook shot, and you're like, damn it.
Exactly.
I think deep down inside,
you have to go forward in time and then kill him to get it.
yeah, I think deep down inside, Dampy always wanted to be a part of the graveyard that he worked at. So maybe he always just wanted to die and live under there with his ghost self. I mean, he's still sort of alive. He can show people. He just gets to show people where hook shots are. He doesn't have to dig for a treasure anymore. Well, what was your favorite moment, Martin? No. Oh no.
We lost Martin.
Sorry.
There he is.
I don't know what happened there. It sort of just everything went.
you froze, but you're back. What's your favorite moment from Ocarina of Time?
There's also. I have to say, I think the fight with Phantom Ganon is really
that part's good.
like when you first walk into that into the boss arena or whatever it is, and he's just behind you, and at first I was like, oh my god, it's Ganondorf, he's gonna kill me, you know, sort of like not realizing. And one of the things which actually kind of I feel spoils that moment is that it tells you that it's Phantom Ganon. It comes up with the boss name.
Yeah.
And I really wish they hadn't done that, and you just thought that you were actually fighting Ganondorf. Already, because it's just a cool battle, like the whole concept with the paintings running back and forth.
Oh yeah. And there's the fake one, and there's one of them turns around and one of them will come through, and that was a really neat fight. And one thing I really like also, like, of the beginning of that is, like, you walk up to that room, and there's like the gates around, and in order to trigger it, you have to try to leave, and then like that gate comes up, and it's like you're stuck here. So like that was a really cool, like, oh shit moment. I like that. That's how you trigger it, is you have to try to leave, and he's like, nope, you're not going anywhere. But yeah, I love that. I love those moments with like that. That seems to be Nintendo, like, a lot of times, like, stuff you see in other games, like, like paintings. Like, we had already seen that with Super Mario 64, where you can jump into paintings. Another thing I thought it was thinking about was, like, that part where you, like, shoot the sun with the arrow, and you get the special, like, fire arrow after that. Like, it's like that was kind of like, they did that again in Luigi's Mansion, where you, like, throw something at the moon, and, like, always kind of, I like that, being able to interact with, like, the planets, and, like, shooting something at the sun, as ridiculous as it is, but it would work in this situation in Zelda. But yeah, I think as far as I was thinking about favorite dungeons too. Like, I always think of the Forest Temple as my favorite dungeon, like, because the twist.
So moody and atmospheric. I love it.
Yeah, and that song.
I like
like
that.
really.
I like that
yeah.
it's like interior and exterior too. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like
yeah.
how those dungeons were so cool that they were like that in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that, I don't know if maybe they did that with A Link to the Past before, but it was definitely
a little tiny bit.
a lot more noticeable in this one. Well, I mean, I guess there's that desert part in Link to the Past where you have to, like, go out and come back in.
Turtle Rock, there's a little bit of it where you, like, go out caves and go back in.
Is it which one is you guys' favorite? I know this has been debated on a lot of people. I'm sure it's this one, but Ocarina of Time or A Link to the Past? Which one's your favorite?
Ocarina.
Probably Ocarina, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Link to the Past, but
Yeah, me too.
I still feel like Ocarina, like, I haven't discovered everything in it, and Link to the Past I definitely have.
Sure. Oh, so there's still some holes for you to fall into, or like caves, or random cows, wherever that you can find.
Yeah, I mean, I need to play this game again. Watching you play it made me want to, but then I also instantly got the memory of the Bigoron sword quest and was like, oh no, I don't want to do that.
It's not that bad. I like the Bigoron sword quest, and I like well, yeah, I guess there's the timing in there that's kind of annoying. That's probably the worst part, where you got to get to one thing to another. And thinking of the part that you were talking about where, like, Ganon, like, knocks the sword out of your hand, like, I had the Bigoron sword, so I was like, whatever, Bigoron sword's better. Yeah. And then I just come out and after him with that, I'm like, I don't even need that one. I'm like, I don't need that sword. I mean, you knew it to, like, strike the final blow on him, but yeah, I was like, I don't need it. I got this. And I think I used the hammer on him a couple times too, which that was one of my. Speaking of, I don't know, I'm kind of jumping around. Did you guys all think the forest was your favorite temple on there, or did you guys have different answer for that?
I don't know. Maybe the forest was my favorite. I can't say conclusively.
I like the Temple of Light. I liked the light puzzles in the Temple of Light. I thought those were really cool. Like, especially at the time, that was something I hadn't seen anything like that before, where you had to, like, use your actual shield to like reflect light at stuff and to progress.
Or the one with the lens of truth. That was a pretty cool one.
Well, that's the desert, right?
Weren't there?
Well, I mean, the desert temples would be second to me. Like we were talking about, like how you have to go in between young Link and adult Link. I think that's like really did really well for it. Yeah,
it really ties the theme up, doesn't it? The whole time travel thing of going back, and it's like, oh wow, if I change it, your actions of the past affect the future, and also you got to fight. I'm pretty sure the Spirit Temple's the first time you get to fight the Iron Knuckles, like the big dudes with the massive axes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're swinging. There's all the pillars, and if they hit the pillar, and like if they hit you, you just go flying.
Oh,
and like 5 hearts or something. It was really quite epic. You're just like, oh no, like this thing is really.
Yeah.
It's
I guess okay. I think I'm gonna go back to my favorite moment. My favorite moment, it has to be the fight with Shadow Link.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. Where it's just where it's the open area. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say your favorite moment is when like you beat the Iron Knuckle and it ends up being the one of the Gerudos. Like I thought that part was really cool too.
That was cool, yeah.
Boru, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sage.
Yeah, I remember that was a very. I mean, there's a lot of like cool dramatic stuff in there that it just never, you'd never seen that in Zelda games before, and I really liked just how much how cinematic it got I'd never seen it before.
Martin, was that you that or was it on your site that your Twitter that you posted? It was like when someone asked you to scoot over on the bus, and it was the Zora King.
Yeah.
No one's favorite moment.
I kind of.
It's so long. It's like 30 seconds.
Actually, I loved it. No, I love so much how long that takes. Like I know it's like when we were talking about like how slow Link moves and all that. That part and how slow it is perfect. Like I want it to be like that, where it's just like we're gonna make you wait while this big dude just kind of like just like moves over. I feel like that you need that in there, and I don't need that to go faster, just because
They keep that in the 3DS version.
Yeah.
Like, is it still just as long?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh man, that's just Nintendo trolling, isn't it?
I hope so, because it's part of the charm. And this game has like so much charm. Like even at the very beginning, where it shows like where it's like moving around in the first person of Navi, and Navi like runs into the fence and like falls down. That's just like such great like Nintendo detail there. Love that stuff. Where it's just like it just goes right into it, and then it It just has so much personality. Like I was saying earlier in the show, like when the Gorons try to hug Link and he like runs away screaming. Like that's wonderful. Like I would never expect that. Or like was it Darunia and like his crazy dance and all that he does like to the music. And I always got confused about that part because when you get it wrong, it'll go up and it'll show the Triforce up there. And I'll be like, oh, maybe it's supposed to be the other thing, even though it does play a little bit of Saria's song and all that, So, but yeah,
I do like that the Gorons are just different sizes. No one seems to care, Oh yeah, there's a Goron that's the size of a mountain,
Yeah, they're super huge ones. Maybe it's you think it's an age thing, but no, the old brother one, he's still not that huge. But then there's that super huge one. I think it's just they can just be whatever. Gorons were so cool. Like that was the origin of Gorons, right? They weren't around before that. The Zoras were in A Link to the Past, but Gorons weren't before Ocarina of Time. And they're probably like my favorite. I got them right here. It's like they're like my favorite Link guys. I got this got the amiibo of Garuk. Is that him? Yeah. So they've always been my favorite. I have some more Goron toys in the bedroom also, but yeah, they're super cool. I love those big. And I was really sad that they weren't in Wind Waker. I mean, they are, but you have to like look for them. They're like wearing disguises or whatever. They're not just like full on in there. But yeah, they were super cool. Eating rocks and bomb rocks and all that. And I totally forgot.
Well, it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't because most of the land is underwater, so they would be. If they eat rocks, they're kind of rare.
Yeah, sure. They would have starved. Yeah, except for the merchants are Gorons, so they're still living somehow. But yeah. And what was it? When I was playing through it again, I didn't realize how long it takes for you to pick up stuff in that game. Like you don't get to pick anything up until you get the Goron bracelet, which is like halfway through the first part. You can't even. That just kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, I can't pick that grass up. I thought I could do that right off the bat, but no, you can't. And that whole area is cool. Like Dodongo's Cavern was cool with all the bombs and all that. Like I like that stuff. And
I like the part where you're fighting the Lizalfos and you fight them and they're like jumping around the little platforms. Yeah. But then later on you're in you're like up above that same area.
Oh yeah,
room.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And you can fall back down there. You're like, I don't want to go down there. I felt kind of the same way with the Forest Temple's kind of like that too, where you get to a part that's like way above the part that you were at, like where you can kind of see where you were, and I was at the point there because I'd gotten stuck so long on that key at the beginning that I was like, I don't want to go back down there because then I got to go through the whole level and blah blah blah.
It's stuff like that really seemed magical at the time. like when such big game worlds were a new thing.
Oh yeah.
Anytime where I could like walk up onto the tower in Kakariko Village and just look out down below, it's like I can't believe this is a video game on my TV.
Yeah.
And you know, like when did this? How is this happening? You know, I mean, at that time, you know that can't be replicated by playing the game now.
Yeah.
It was just in that jump from 2D to 3D that was like so special to experience that at that time.
Yeah, and I feel like they very much were all about like, you know, look at this thing in the distance, you can get to it. Where they'd be like, Death Mountain, look at Death Mountain back there, you'll get to it eventually. And it actually, playing it again, it reminded me a lot of like Breath of the Wild, and it made me want to like go back and play Breath of the Wild again because that they pretty much. They took that same idea where you see a thing and you want to go to it, but now it's all like real time. There's no like loading screens in between. You'll be like, I want to get to the top of that mountain, and then you can go to the top of the mountain because everything is totally scalable in Breath of the Wild. And I was like, well, they pretty much, you know, a lot of it was like pulled from the original Ocarina of Time, you could say, where it's still kind of the same inspiration.
That was one of the, you know, Zelda. That's one of the first games that really got me thinking about game design because I noticed that when I was playing Ocarina. And then when I went back to play the 2D Zeldas, I noticed that a little bit. There were some times where you could walk up to a wall, you could see the next room over. Yeah. But you didn't know how to get there. So Zelda did a great job of, like, you can get a little bit further, then you get the thing that you need to get, then there's another thing that you can just see off in the distance. Yeah. It's sort of a masterclass in how to tease people with the next thing and keep you wanting to go further and further. Seeing the mountain way off in the distance. Now I got to the mountain. Oh, now there's another thing way over there. Yeah. You just keep playing and playing and playing, and it teases you all along the way.
Yeah. Well, like, especially Breath of the Wild, where it'll be like, oh, there's a weird thing over there. What would happen if I got to the top of that? And it's like, oh, there's a Korok seed or whatever. You know, they're very much encouraging that. But I think a lot of that's very much like Nintendo's mentality, where it's like, here's a thing that you can see, but we're not going to tell you how to get there. And it's like, how do you get there? You know, that's very, it entices you to like, do that, and then there's another thing, and it keeps you engaged in the game and all that. But and I felt like on the lines of that, I felt like Ocarina was very much like the pacing was great, and it's just everything. There was always something happening to have you keep going, and that's aside from all the extra like side quests that you can do and all of that. And I remember, I don't know if you guys did this the first time you played it, but when I first played it, I thought that I was not going to be able to come back to Young Link. So I like spent a long time doing the Young Link stuff because I didn't know that you could go back and forth, you know, on the first time. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to come back, right? But then, you just put the sword back and then you're Young Link, which I thought was kind of like, I was like, that doesn't work like that. I'm like, but whatever, I'll allow it. That's fine. I'll go with
How about, were you guys surprised by the Sheik reveal?
What, Sheik of the Sheikahs?
Yeah.
I did
surprise me.
I did think I thought the name was kind of ridiculous. I was like, so your name's Sheik and you're a Sheikah? It's like, that can't be a real name. So I was a little like, I was wondering about it. But no, it was really cool when you find out that it's Zelda and all that.
Yeah. Did that get you though?
I'm trying to think. It definitely. I think someone actually spoiled it for me, like at school. Like, you know, you were just talking or something on a break, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, it's amazing that Sheik was, you know, just Zelda all along." And I'm like, "What? What?"
That's a terrible person.
Exactly. Terrible.
He's probably in jail now.
Hopefully. I could see like what Jeremy was saying with having playing it at your friend's house and have him like sitting over your shoulder and commenting. I could see him if he was really a dick and being like, "Oh yeah, that's Zelda." Right when you get to speak, and be like, "Shut up, dude."
I used to work with someone like that who I think this is around a time of Xbox 360, and it was things like playing Mass Effect where they'd be like, "Oh, have you played? You know, you play Mass Effect 2?" It's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm playing for it right now." Like, you know, don't spoil anything. And then they just go, "Oh, you know, I'm playing it at the minute, I'm really loving it, and I'm at that part where this happens and this happens, and you know, after that this." And it's like, I just said don't spoil it.
Yeah,
and they would do it
anything.
every single game. I don't know if it was deliberate or they just like didn't know what a spoiler was.
I don't know. I remember, like, I was thinking, I remember myself being like such a dick when I was younger, and like especially for like, because you remember in Ocarina of Time, like the Skulltulas and like the family of Skulltula guys that are cursed and all that. Like when you beat it, when you like get all of them if you transform all of them, all you get is like 200 rupees or something like that, right? It's not really worth it to do it. And I remember telling people that in the dorms who were playing it and be like, it's not really worth getting that thing. Like I'd be like, you don't need to do that. It's like they only give you 200 rupees. I'm like, man, I was such a dick doing that. Like, I should just let them play the game instead of telling them that it wasn't worth doing and that they should go do something else. I remember doing that to one of the people
recently, like a couple months ago, about those characters. I realized it's pronounced Skulltula.
Skulltula, yeah, like tarantula.
It's supposed to be like tarantula.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was always calling them, Skulltulas.
I like the.
I just realized like 6 months ago. Oh wait, it's like tarantula.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
Skulltula.
It is supposed to be Skulltula, but I like Skulltula because of like the rhyming and all that.
Sounds too much like spatula.
Spatula. Skulltula, yeah.
And that's not very threatening.
Skulltula City.
The wall ones have a different name, don't they? The ones that hang off the wall, aren't they called like a Skullwolchula or something? I didn't know that until the other week.
Oh,
I was looking up on a thing. And I was like, oh, that's an unusual name.
Well, I know the ones that you're collecting are golden Skulltulas. Like that's why they have the little icon that you get from them. But yeah, it's cool it was cool to collect those again. And that speaking of noises, like that that you hear, that always triggers my mind to be like, I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Like, yeah.
It really gets in your brain, doesn't it? You're like, I can't find it.
They actually did a really cool thing. I don't know if any of you guys played. You probably didn't, but the Hyrule Warriors, the Dynasty Warriors Zelda game that they did.
Yeah.
There's Skulltulas in there also, and you have to listen for them if you want to find them. So you have to play it with your headphones on or like with the sound on, and it does that too. Like when you're walking around, it's like the and then you have to go find them. And I thought that was a really cool aspect of the game. The game is whatever. I had a lot of fun with it, but I did find that kind of cool, like trying to find the Skulltulas like that within the Dynasty Warriors game. It gives you a little bit of a Zelda feeling there, like trying to find those bugs.
It was a nice addition, wasn't it? I have to say, I really enjoyed Hyrule Warriors. I played it on the Wii U, and I got obsessed with it. I must have played something like 150 hours of that. And it's just it really is quite repetitive, but there's something quite relaxing about it.
Well, I think a lot of it is like I think it's just like being in the world, like being in the Zelda world, and like all the unlockable characters that ended up, because I ended up buying the season pass for it, and it was totally worth it because they put a lot of extra dudes in there, and it was just all the different things you could do. Like it ended up being, I think, a lot more fun than it really should have been, I guess, for what it is, for how simple it is and repetitive. And I also loved like the low poly characters. I mentioned it before on this game. Like I wish that people would do more like low poly games, like as like a, instead of doing so much like 8-bit and 16-bit. I wish they would do more like PlayStation 1 64 style games. And you can get a suit for like Link and Zelda and Ganondorf that are supposed to look like the 64 Link. So it's really cool. Like it's all like low poly, and they did that with Odyssey too, with the low poly Mario. But I just love that stuff. They do the callback to the original Ocarina and all that. Would you guys ever like to see Ocarina of Time re-released on the Switch? I mean, this is kind of like a no-brainer, but
sure. It should be relatively easy for them to do it, right? They already remastered it or whatever for the 3DS, and just take the 3D out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it'd be cool to see the 3DS version. Did all of you guys play that one? Did you play the portable one?
Yeah.
I played it. I think it was on sale. It was like some E3 sale, and I ended up getting it for cheaper because I didn't want to pay full price for it because I've played the game a million times. But it was a lot of fun to play through. Really, I'd like to see both of those. If they could just raise the resolution, like clean it up a little bit more, or re-release it. I'm sure everybody would love to see a Zelda collection. Be nice to see the original 64 Ocarina one on their online service at some point. Like I would love to see that in there, but yeah. Is there anything else you got? I mean, I know we could talk forever about Ocarina of Time, but we're kind of we're kind of there. We're almost at 2 hours here, so I want to kind of wrap it up. But is there anything that I've missed about? I know there's so much to talk about in Ocarina of Time, but is there anything that you guys want to add about it that you think I might not have said yet? Or
I've got one thing which may be of interest, which is
for sure.
I suppose Ocarina of Time, sort of a bit more currently, is that there's a there's a new mod. I only played it the other day for the first time, but there's something which is called Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time Randomizer.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know if you guys have played it or seen it or anything. It's really quite cool. Where you you get like you have to use a ROM basically, and you can play it on an original N64 using an EverDrive. It all completely works. And what you do is it's a program where you take the Ocarina of Time sort of game file and you run it through it, and it basically just randomizes certain elements. So all of the chests in the game, all the items, they all just get mixed up. So the Kokiri sword is, at the start, whatever it is, it may not be in that chest. It could be in a chest in a dungeon somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
And,
so you'll never have the sword? Wow, how could you even do it if you don't have the sword?
Well, this is the thing, is like you have to then sort of like they've sort of modified the game enough so that you can go between areas, and like doors are open and stuff like that, and they've taken out some of the cutscenes and like shortened some. So I think it's very much aimed at speedrunners, but it's one of those things where you can find. I think you start off with at least one of the medallions, and I think you have to be able to get one of the the spiritual stones. As long as you have one of them, you can open up the Temple of Time, or the Door of Time, and get to the future.
Oh, okay.
And so you end up sort of having to play in this really random order, where you're going to the dungeons and things and trying to get hold of, all the different items and things like that. And it's really cool. Like if you randomize it, you can only randomize it once. Like if you play it and then turn it off and turn it back on, even if you clear the game, it will still be randomized in the same way. So if you want to do it again, you have to run it through the program again.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Quite cool. It's got a novel way to sort of shake it up because, like I was really lucky when I was testing the other day. Like the second chest I opened, I think it was on Mido's house. I opened up and it had the Kokiri sword in there. I was like, yes.
Nice. Wow,
I've got the thing which I need. But yeah, like some people, the first thing they get is the Magazine Hammer and they can't use it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you have to take those guardians out of the first forest area. Like the guys that wait by the doors. They're like, you have to have a sword to leave, or you have to have blah 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 to leave. Yeah. You'd have to get rid of those guys because if you can't get the sword in that area, you're fucked.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can sort of go. But I thought for some reason the Door of Time was already open, but I must have misread it. I think they must have made it so that you get one of the spiritual stones. There's no way you can't not get it, basically.
Sure.
But it's just really novel because like you open a random chest and it's like you've got you've got the light arrows or something like that. It takes away the sort of the significance of them in a way, but then you can. I'm guessing people then formulate strategies for how they then try to play the game quickly because they might be like, oh, I've got these items now, and I know that this temple is the quickest to beat, and I think you still have to beat the temples to get the medallions at the end.
Sure.
The medallions are randomized, so you might get
Forest
one in the Spirit Temple or something.
Oh, wow. Is it presented by a different sage then at the end, or is it still the same? Like, would you beat like
I don't know. I think they might have taken. I haven't played enough of it, but I think those cutscenes are
Just
probably like edited or something like that. It doesn't have the same story feel. So, for example, we were talking about leaving Saria or Salia, whatever she's called, and you run out of the woods and she gives you the ocarina. It has that sort of cutscene.
Yeah.
It's completely different in the randomizer because you walk out and it looks like it cuts to do the cutscene.
Yeah.
And then you don't see Saria or anything like that. And when I did it, because again it's randomized, so you may or may not get the fairy ocarina at that point.
Yeah.
It just cut to Link holding his hands up with a piece of heart, going,
"Oh wow,
got a piece of heart," and then just that was it.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Oh wow, that's kind of
weird."
That moment for me.
So you'd find the ocarina in a treasure chest somewhere instead of like Zelda throwing it to you or something like that.
Actually, maybe Zelda may still give you the. I can't remember. Yeah. There's certain things they had to keep as is, or they had to tweak slightly, just because otherwise it won't work. But but largely it's random. So.
Yeah, because she throws you the Ocarina of Time, like at the when she takes off. Yeah. Speaking of randomizer stuff, did you play? Did all you guys play the Master Quest? And also speaking of the DD, of course, from earlier with F-Zero, did you guys play the Master Quest version where everything was kind of like different?
Yes.
I played a little bit of it. I've never played all the way through it.
Yeah, I played the GameCube, the re-release GameCube disc version of it, and The only thing I remember is that there's cows in Jabu Jabu now, which was probably the weirdest part.
Oh,
There were cow heads in the wall. Yeah.
Like there's actually cows in the dungeon.
Yeah, there's cows like in the walls, like in Jabu Jabu, like he's eating whole cows, and there's like their heads are sticking out of the walls, which I remember that being really weird. But yeah. That was the one thing that was the most in the Master Quest.
What I remember about Master Quest is that I lost that disc too, the exact same way that I lost my original copy.
Oh, you lent it to somebody?
Gave it to somebody. Hey, you got to play Ocarina. It's a great game.
Yeah.
You know, it was the origin of Z targeting. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Let him borrow the disc. Gone.
Yeah.
And the price you pay to teach people about Z targeting,
Yeah.
John.
I know.
I would say like let that be a lesson. Don't lend games to anybody ever.
Yeah,
That was the last game I ever lent to anybody. I'm not joking. That was it. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going through this again.
I lost a lot of movies in that way, but I don't think I ever lent a game to anybody. Or I try not to, like especially if you're not going to see them that often, like you'll probably never get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I thought Master Quest was very. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like the B-roll of dungeon design, which I mean, it's still really good fun, but
oh sure, yeah,
it's not as good as the main quest.
Well, yeah, because they've changed it around, but it's a nice like, and they kind of like the cool thing is like they kind of like did that after that. They continued it like on the 3DS one. Like once you beat it, you can start it again, and it is the Master Quest. And I think it's funny that that's where right-hand Link will show up there. If you do the Master Quest, he'll have the sword on the other hand and all that stuff. And some of them flip everything like on the second time around. Because I think there's a Master Quest for Majora's Mask now in the 3DS version as well. So, so it's nice. It's a nice like added bonus. Like going back to the original game where it's like you started again. Everything's kind of different. I know Wind Waker
That's
had
like
Wind Waker
it's
had
like
that too.
Twilight Princess, where the whole game was reversed.
Yeah, depending on what
whether
version
you had the
played.
Wii or
Yeah.
the GameCube version.
Yeah, I think that's what they were referencing with the 3DS re-release, where they would put it on his other hand, to be like, oh, now he's right-handed. It's the crazy right-hand Link, which is now the Link, I guess, which sucks. I always liked Link being left-handed because I'm left-handed too. So I was like, yeah,
Likewise,
he's
likewise.
like me. Yeah, sweet. Cool. Well, if there's nothing else to say about, like I said, there's a lot to say about Ocarina of Time. It's an amazing game. If any of you listeners have not played it, make sure and get it. And I don't know what is the cart like going for a lot still, Martin? Like for a resale, like for the 64 game.
Don't think it goes for like a massive amount. I don't know about every region. I think it's one of those games. It's like GoldenEye and Mario Kart and Mario 64, where even now it holds its value. So I think in the UK, you could expect to spend £25 to £30. I haven't looked recently. It could even be more than that because the prices of all N64 games have gone up so much. But
oh sure.
But yeah, it's one of those ones. It's always got a value. People always want to play it.
Yeah, I would guess that it'd be around like 40 to 60 maybe, like American dollars. But I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I still have my original copy, thankfully. I didn't lend it to anybody to experience C targeting or anything like that. But so I do still have it, so I haven't been in the market for looking for it. But I'm sure like in the box and all that, it would be at least like $100, if not more, is what I would think. But yeah, it's an excellent game. You can get it for cheap. You can get it on the cheap for 3DS
Super
if you have a
accessible.
3DS.
Like you can find this game all over the place.
Well, you can buy it for Wii. You can buy it for Wii U. Like it's been re-released. I'm hoping for we all would love to see a Switch re-release on it, and there were the GameCube re-releases, of course, like a couple different ways you can get it on that. So it is around, but yeah, it's an excellent game. If you haven't played it, I feel like it still holds up pretty well today. Like I don't feel like I felt like I had a good time playing it. Like aside from how incredibly slow Link moves, I still think it's very playable nowadays. And yeah, it's worth. You should check it out, Jeremy. Like give it a try again. Like just boot it up and give it a go. We could always do like a Friday night stream or something on it.
I don't own the 3DS version, but I believe I own 4 other versions.
Yeah, you have the.
I have the GameCube. I have one of the GameCube ones, the Master Quest one. Then I got the original cartridge, and I've got it on my Wii and my Wii U. I think that's the 4 I have.
Play it on 64, man. You got to use the trident. Use that trident of power again. You got to use that guy. Actually, the one thing I like about the old 64 controllers, you can kind of play it with one hand. You can just hold it in the middle and move around. That's what I was doing. That's one thing I'll say about that controller. Some people don't like it, but I still like it. Whatever. But yeah, definitely check it out, and check out n64today.com if you haven't. It's a great website, and thank you again for being on the show. I couldn't imagine doing an Ocarina of Time episode without you, Martin. So I'm glad we were able to have you back.
Okay,
talk about
it, me. It's been really good fun
because you know a lot of extra details and all that, and of course, like, we'd love to have you on again for another 64 thing. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about. I mean, we're Nintendo, so we're a Nintendo podcast here, so we'll all about talking about 64 stuff. But yeah, I love what you're doing over there. Make sure and check out the Body Harvest review. It's totally worth it. It's a great game to read about. Maybe play if you have it. That one's probably not too expensive now. I mean, I don't know how rare that one is, but yeah, it's a good thing to look back on, especially with how far Rockstar has come from that. But cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and your Twitter is N64 Today, right?
That is correct. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and of course n64today.com is where you will find it, or find you at. So make sure and check that out. And you can find us at NintenDomainPodcast.com, Nintendo_domain on Twitter, and JMaxStack on Twitter. And of course, like twitch.tv/NintenDomainPodcast, YouTube.com/Fingmater, FINGMATER is where you can find all of us. And yeah, and that's our episode. We've been your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
Jerry Mikowski.
John Nitter.
And special guest.
Martin Watts.
Cool. And thanks for listening. We'll see you later. And make sure and watch my stream later.
Sure thing.
Keep on smashing.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Are you all right, John? You stuck around like an hour later than you should have.
Yeah. I was planning to go get lunch before I go to work, but I'll skip it. I'd rather be on the show.
Yeah. No, I didn't want you to have to only have. I didn't want you to only have 15 minutes to talk about Ocarina of Time.
Luckily, you were here to explain about Z targeting. I mean, that's more important than food.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
if any of the listeners, we can put this in there, but if any of the listeners want to borrow Zelda, go to somebody else. I'm not going to give you my copy.
Nice. I think I got that, so I might throw it on the end as a nice little surprise. Yeah, I wanted to start earlier today because I didn't want anybody to have to leave super early and all that, So that's why I wanted to start at 11 instead of 12.
Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know why I thought it was noon. It said it right in your message that it was 11.
I thought about reminding you again, but I didn't want to be a dick. I'm gonna be like, hey guys, don't forget to get up at 11 or whatever.
But I do have to get going though.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm gonna take off, guys.
Yeah. I gotta get
Martin, good to see you again.
I got to get to editing,
good to see you, Martin.
I get to editing, so I'll be done for later.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks for being on, man. And yeah,
look forward to having you on again in the future.
For sure, yeah.
Great.
And
keep
writing all that stuff. I love reading it on that 64.
Glad to hear it. So yeah,
for sure, man.
All right, cool. I'll catch you guys soon.
All right.
I hope you find some food.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
All right,
yeah.
catch you later,
Thank
guys.
you.
Later,
Martin. Later, John.
All right, later, guys. Thanks.
Did you want me to do an intro, or does it matter?
Oh. Ooh. Accidentally hung up on you.